Rob Brown Lockdown.
Represents being real.
Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed!
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Good morning.
Oh, what kind of morning would it be if we didn't start the day off that way? Huh? I mean, who cares that Lonzo could have dropped it? It's Friday, got to get down on Friday on us. Could have opened up with the Friddaayy special. Right?
By the way, I think you broke your mic already.
I think I broke it already. What a start to the show if that would be true.
I mean, because you blew it up, and now your volume is gone. Way to go!
Super. Why not? I mean, listen, it doesn't matter.
It's back now. You know what it is? I think it's digitizing because of the strength of your vocals, and it caused your level to drop.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate.
Is that better? Should I just do the whole show like that? Should we go NPR voice on it?
Maybe, because that wasn't NPR, and you don't need to lean into the mic if you're going to do the NPR voice, because then it got distorted. Rob's not here.
No, Rob's not here. Rob is coming to you live, and if this is better, great one, let me know so that I just talk like this through the show. Rob is live down in the sunshine state of Florida, the beautiful beaches of Pensacola, Florida. As a matter of fact, if you needed me to be specific, taking a little long weekend down here playing some music with the band, spending some time with the fam, yet for the people. Hashtag for the people. I decided that I would get up at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time to be here with all of you and also Lonzo. You're welcome, South Carolina. You really are.
Wait, you love that time zone. That's what you said you love. So why are you not complaining about that time zone that you love so dearly, right?
As a television viewer, I dramatically prefer Central Time. That is 100%. As a TV viewer, Central Time is infinitely superior to Eastern Time. It's not as much fun when you drive in from Eastern Time and then make the realization that the show starts at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, or 5 a.m. Central Time, not 6 a.m., which means I can't get up at 4 a.m. It means I've got to get up at 3 a.m., especially when I've got to set up all the gear. But again, great one. I did it for you. I did it for the people. I feel like I deserve a medal of some type for that. I feel like I've earned some sort of recognition and commendation for the sacrifices that I continue to make in order to make sure that we have an award-winning show this morning. You're welcome. I hear Ric Flair off in the distance. I'm going to assume that Ric Flair was wooing for me, and it is appreciated, Rick. Thank you very much.
Well, Rick is at a lower level than the crowd, so if I play Rick over the crowd and pump it up where it needed to, the crowd would have been so much louder, which it should be when Rick is wooing. But
it should be when Rick is wooing. It should indeed. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you, Rob Brown, in the house with you virtually alongside the great one, Lonzo, back in the palatial the Fan Upstate studios. I'm coming to you live from the beaches of Pensacola. I'm not actually on the beach because, again, it is 5:03 in the morning here. So I'm very much just in the guest room at my mother's house right now. As a matter of fact, that poor woman trying to sleep on the other side of the house. The good news is, Lonzo and I discovered mere moments ago, I can't shout or else I'll just blow the doors off the radio station like a cheap 1970s vehicle, I guess. But we're going to figure it out.
There's a way to do it, I believe, and it would be your Fight Club, your Carolina, whenever you put your head back and you get it away from the mic. So if you get animated, I don't know if you're in a rolling chair, possibly just roll yourself back a little.
I'm not. I'm in like a patio chair and all my gear's on literally her back porch table that I had to bring in this morning at 3 a.m. But I can just kind of lean a little bit. We're gonna figure it out. We got this. This is literally why we are award winning right here. What we are doing right now, this is award winning stuff.
We adapt. and we apply what we learn, and usually you can't tell a difference. So there
We
you go.
slap the play like a champion today sign on the way by. We touch the goalpost on the way under it. We run through the banner and we freaking play. It's what we do. And play we shall, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 4 hours of sports talk, entertainment, excellence, the most electrifying 4 hours in all of sports, even if it is a mite more toned down than usual. We are still here for you. Again, Rob Brown live from Florida, the great Malonzo back in beautiful upstate South Carolina. We have no shortage of topics to discuss today. A lot of things to get into on the radio broadcast last night. The NBA draft concluded with round number 2. We do now know what the Charlotte Hornets have elected to do with their second pick. We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a little while as they go get out of the University of Colorado KJ Simpson, a good player, a player who, much like everyone else in this draft, and I think you especially saw it late last night as this draft developed. A bit of a project player. KJ Simpson is a 6 foot tall, 187-pound shooting / point guard. He is very undersized. He is also wildly creative with the basketball, a guy who took a big step forward his junior year last year. Colorado got a pair of wins in the NCAA March Madness tournament, and a lot of that reason was a very efficient performance out of KJ Simpson. But again, he is 6 foot tall, 187 pounds. He is giving up both length and size to just about every NBA player defensively, which means there is likely a lid on his usability. He can basically check into the game when Charlotte's offense is going sideways, when the efficiency of the offense takes its step back. That's when KJ Simpson has an opportunity to step in and shine. Now, will he? Will he be able to thrive at the next level? We are going to find out. But what you can say about KJ Simpson is he is actually one of the better ball handlers that was available in this range in the NBA draft. He has very, very good breakaway speed and acceleration. He is a very intense defensive player. He's a slap the floor, get down into a stance, and make some stuff happen kind of defensive player, which gives him a chance against players that are a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, that's thick with 2 C's than he is. He is the type of dude that hounds you. He's the type of dude that gets up in your grill. He's the type of dude that is going to attack the basketball every time that you bounce it. He is a very intense player, which he has to be. He would not have made it to where he made it in Boulder, Colorado, if it wasn't for that. So this is a career bench player, and that's okay. The NBA draft is not like the NFL draft. It's a different breed of cat. When you were talking about guys that you project to be starters in the draft, especially guys that you project to be starters in the draft immediately, there's just not a lot of them. In the NFL, you can go get guys in the second and the third round that can start. You get a lot of guys that make an impact right out of the gate. It's not that way in the NBA draft. Most of the guys outside of the lottery, even if they're short-term projects, are guys that you need to work on. There are guys that you need to develop, or guys that you need to bring their game forward. And KJ Simpson is one of those guys. He's a guy with a very interesting draft profile. He's a guy that I think has, again, a lot of potential ahead of them, but it is going to need to be developed. It's going to need to be grown. Does he fit in with Charlotte? He does. But there was another move that the Hornets made last night And that was a trade that they made with the Denver Nuggets. They bring in Reggie Jackson, the point guard from Denver, played 2 years with the Nuggets, maintained a pretty solid role coming off the bench, was the leader of Denver's second unit. The trade comes 2 days after he picked up his $5.25 million option. This was a salary cutting move for the Denver Nuggets, but Reggie Jackson has been a wildly consistent point guard. Last year, played in all 82 games. He started 23 of them when Jamal Murray was banged up, averaged over 10 points and just a tick shy of 4 assists per game last night. Also, a 43% shooter from the field in the regular season. Now, not a guy that they lean too heavily on in clutch time scenarios. In the playoffs last year, averaged just 3.5 points per game, 1.3 boards per game, shot 33% from the field. Again, this is not a huge loss for the Denver Nuggets. This is a this is a team that is looking to re-sign Jamal Murray and to continue to build around Jamal Murray as well, obviously, as Nikola Jokic. So this was a cost-cutting move so that they can put a little bit of that money back into getting Jamal Murray happy and getting Jamal Murray back onto the roster. Jackson was signed in 2022 by Denver to basically provide bench support. He is also a defensive presence. Consider him a less talented Drew Holiday. That's kind of the role that Reggie Jackson fills. Kind of a less competitive, less talented Drew Holiday, a guy that you can lean on to give you some defensive pressure, a guy that you can throw in there in tight basketball games and trust that he's not going to let defenders cook him very often out of the point guard spot. But it's a good pickup. You pair him with LaMelo Ball, obviously, assuming you can keep LaMelo Ball healthy. If Ball can be healthy, Reggie Jackson provides you a little point guard depth, a guy that can come off the bench, that can make sure there's not too big of a downshift while KJ Simpson is continuing to develop, while KJ Simpson is learning the way that the NBA operates. Reggie Jackson's the guy that gives you a little bit of depth. Kyle Filipowski ends up going to Duke second in the second round of the draft. There's some other names and other fits that we will talk about, but obviously the big story was the 55th overall pick. That is where Bronny James was drafted by, who the hell else? The Los Angeles Lakers. And there's an interesting story developing around the selection of Bronny James. And that interesting story developing around Bronny James is that Rich Paul, who is the agent for both LeBron and now Bronny James, the story goes, if you are willing to believe #sources, the story goes that Rich Paul, the agent for both of the Jameses, was making calls to other NBA teams in the lead up to the draft and effectively telling them, do not select Bronny. Let Bronny fall to the Lakers. We've got plans for him. We want these guys together. Now, I am going to tell you that I think it's largely irrelevant whether that is true or not. And I think it is irrelevant whether that is true or not because I don't think anybody had any intention of drafting Bronny James. We talked about this. I think Bronny James, if he's not Bronny James, if he's Bronny Smith or Bronny Jackson or Bronny Brown or Bronny Reitzel, I think Bronny is going undrafted, like PJ Hall from Clemson. Hey, Lonzo, remember a couple of days ago when I said PJ Hall should have stayed at Clemson and played one more year? You remember?
Yeah, he should have because he didn't get drafted. The Bronny thing, though, the Bronny thing, what if someone was going to draft him because if they drafted him, LeBron would come to their team?
That was the only reason that I think anybody would have drafted Bronny James. And I will say this, I would be very interested to find out if this story about Rich Paul jumping on the phone and telling teams do not draft Bronny turns out to be true. And I'm going to be straight up with you last night. Had I been had I been home and not on the road yesterday, because by the time I got here to Florida, all the hell I wanted to do was go to bed. It was quite the adventure. We'll talk about it later. What I would have done is immediately jumped online and immediately started reading up on the NBA's tampering rules, right? Because I don't know if an agent making phone calls to NBA teams and saying, do not draft a draftable player because I want him to get drafted by this specific team. I don't know if that's against the rules or not. And again, I apologize for not knowing. I should know. This is something I should have looked up last night, but what should have been a 7.5-hour car ride turned into a 10.5 car ride yesterday. So I did not have the time to get home and start looking through and finding this. So I sincerely apologize for that. But what I can say is I'd be interested in knowing if that violates any sort of tampering rules, if there was any sort of rules against that. What I do know is that I don't think that there was a reason to draft. And this is true for the Lakers as well. I don't think that there was a reason to draft Bronny James outside of getting LeBron on your basketball team. And again, I think that's true for the Lakers too, right? Keep in mind, LeBron James has until 5 p.m. tomorrow to decide if he's going to pick up his player agent or not, or his player option or not. If he picks up his player option tomorrow, LeBron James remains a Laker. If LeBron does not pick up his player option tomorrow, LeBron James becomes an unrestricted free agent. And there's a lot of people who speculate, like me, that the reason that LeBron hasn't already officially declared that he was going to become an unrestricted free agent is because he was waiting to see how this circumstance was going to play out. If he was going to stay a Laker, it was going to be either A, they were going to make him an offer he can't refuse, or because they were going to bring his boy, they were going to bring Bronny into play for that team, and that was the bait on the hook that they needed. Don't be shocked if LeBron James announces today that he intends to either A, not pick up his player option, and then the Lakers have a contract in place for him like immediately, or B, if he and again, I don't think he's picking up the player option, but that's not to say I don't think he's going to be a Laker. I still think he's going to be a Laker. I just think he's going to get himself a new contract that is probably a short-term contract, but still plans on being a Laker. I don't see why anybody else would have drafted Bronny. The Suns, the Warriors, anybody else that was mentioned in that discussion other than his bait for Bronny, which is why this Rich Paul thing is interesting and something that we are going to talk about a little bit later on in the radio broadcast. Let's run to our first break. The great Milonzo back in the network studio in charge of all things audio hitting your ear holes. My name is Rob Brown. Y'all, we got 4 hours of greatness, and it starts right now. It's the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
Opinions, analysis, and entertainment all rolled into one sports talk show. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Adam, you have my apologies, but like I can tell you, there's no way other than being 8.5 hours away that Rob Brown would miss a local indie show called The Boogie Jam. There's 0% chance I would miss The Boogie Jam if I was in town. Unfortunately, I will not be there to see Jimmy Valiant, but everybody else in the chat should go see that show because Jimmy Valiant's going to be there.
Sorry, I'm an introvert. I don't like crowds. It's past my bedtime. It sounds like a fun time, but I don't do that. Hey, Rob, I sent you something on X.
Oh, wonderful.
You might think it's funny. It's sad, but it's funny.
It is funny.
So is it just me, people on the stream, but doesn't it look like Rob is sitting in front of like the biggest door ever? That door looks so huge. I know it's camera angle, maybe, or maybe the door is that's a big door.
It's a
really
regular
big
size
door.
closet door.
It looks like a really big door.
So ordinarily from the house, what I did not grab on my way out, unfortunately, is my laptop riser. Ordinarily, the laptop would be up here, so the camera would be higher. But unfortunately, I forgot to grab it on the way out. So you're getting Boomer on a Zoom meeting angle out of me right now.
Also known as the Cole Bryson angle.
Correct. That is correct.
Yes.
And also the kind of U angle most mornings, if we're keeping it a buck.
No, man, you can tell that I'm in a studio.
Correct.
But
unfortunately,
some people think they need to be right up in the camera.
You go with the lower camera angle instead of raising it up to your eyes like a TV person.
Well, I'm not on TV. I'm a radio guy. Look at you having fun with that, Bruce Lee. We shouldn't be having camera angle debates. I refuse to take criticism from a man in front of a large door.
If I had my regular camera, I'd turn you around and show you a picture of. I'll get it later. As a portrait, my senior portrait's hanging on the wall over there.
Oh, cool! An unbearded Rob Brown.
Very unbearded.
20 seconds.
Early birds get the sports scoop. The Rob Brown Show, now morning 6 to 10.
On the Fan Upstate.
So this Rich Paul story, if you have not heard it, there are stories out there that Rich Paul, who is the agent for LeBron James, as well as now his son, Bronny James, the newest member of the Los Angeles Lakers. A story going around was that Rich Paul, the agent for both of the Jameses, was sending warnings to NBA players. This came from, I mean, by the way, we've been kind of humorously attributing this to hashtag sources, because there's nothing more that Lonzo and I love than a good hashtag sources story.
The arbiter brought us into this realm.
Correct. And again, as a former journalist myself, sources are important, and it is very frequently okay to run a story based on sources when you cannot reveal your source. I did it frequently when I was a TV news guy. The important thing, however, is that when you run sources stories, you're still able to prove those sources correct through your investigative journalism.
All right. Speaking of which, were you ever in a back alley with a wad of cash trying to get some info from a narc?
No, but I did one time, pardon me, I did one time have a county employee operate as a whistleblower whose identity I had to protect, because the whistleblower laws in our state and county at the time were not very strong. This person would have lost their job and probably standing in the community. So I did have to run a pretty big investigative piece based on a hashtag source, but then through research, I was able to prove what they were saying was correct. Sources are fine. It's when you utilize the concept of sources in order to make up a story that you are no longer fine. And that is the kind of stuff we make fun of. That being said, we've been making this into a hashtag sources joke, Lonzo. Bob Myers of ESPN attached his name to this story. This is not a sources story. I mean, it is, but it's a sources story that somebody was willing to attach their name to and their reputation.
That's a pretty big name.
Yes, it is. And it's a pretty respectable name in the NBA reporting community. Bob Myers of ESPN claimed yesterday that Rich Paul was reportedly advising other NBA teams not to draft Bronny. And that if they do, Bronny would have elected to pursue a pro basketball career in Australia instead of playing in the NBA. Myers reported and said, quote, Rich Paul's calling teams saying, don't take Bronny James. Do not take him. If you take him, he's going to Australia. He said this on ESPN yesterday. Now, Rich Paul is not an idiot. That's why his first name is both a name and a literal adjective describing him, because he's made a lot of money off of the career of LeBron James, because again, mama didn't raise no fool. I am sure that Rich Paul likely was playing within the rules by sending emails or phone calls or whatever he was doing to talk to the other NBA GMs and tell them, hey, if you take this kid, he's going to Eli Manning you. He's going to be gone. He's going to go play in Australia. You will be effectively wasting a draft pick. And on top of that, so that we are clear, Bronny has every right to do that. Bronny has the right to decide that he would rather go to Australia or France or wherever, play internationally, and develop his game before he tries to make it in the league. LeBron and Bronny are officially the first ever father-son duo in the league at the same time. And obviously that makes them the first ever father-son duo to share a locker room in the NBA at the same time. And I do not think that there is anything wrong with that being the case. In fact, if anything, Alonzo, you're obviously infinitely more qualified to speak on this than I am, but I don't have an issue with a father and a son doing everything that they can do to be able to do this thing together, to set a milestone as the first father-son duo, to share a locker room in Los Angeles together. I understand the sentimentality that would drive Bronny to go, I'm either playing for the Lakers or I'm going elsewhere. Just like I've said, I understand why it is that LeBron would be willing to say, even though he hasn't said it, I'm either playing with my kid on the same team next year, or I'm going to get the fattest stacks that I can get, or I'll take not the fattest stacks I can get to transfer to another team and play wherever Bronny gets drafted. I don't have an issue with any of that, but there is something that just feels, I don't know, a little bit gross about an agent making the call to 29 other NBA teams and saying, if you pick this kid, he's not going to play for you, even though, Lonzo, he absolutely has the right to do that if he doesn't say it out loud.
All right. That's still alleged. I mean, I know the sources are great, but it's still alleged. You're right. I don't know what the tampering laws are. If there are no tampering laws, then as far as that goes, then he didn't do anything wrong. I also think this is going to play into LeBron runs the team. LeBron does all this. LeBron's in charge of everything. All those people who hate LeBron, it plays right into their camp to be able to say all this stuff. Like, see, did you see that? See, I told you. There is, as you said, I am qualified to talk about this because I actually have a son who, on occasion, I work with, and it's so cool to be able to do that, to be able to share a part of your life, something that is one of the biggest parts of the history of you with your child. And so I get how cool that's going to be for him to get to do that. And they need to stop with, he hasn't signed his contract yet. He's going to sign his come on. It's about money. He's going to get more money and he's going to sign with the Lakers. And how much is Bronny actually going to be on the court with him? I don't know. It depends on how much he develops.
So there's a couple of things at play here. First off, I am going to point out that while it is easy, and if there's anybody on this station who runs in this direction, it is easy to cry nepotism. It is easy to cry nepotism in the league. But here's the thing. Nepotism is rampant in the NBA. Yesterday, Adam Devine made the point that Leon Rose, who used to be the agent of Rick Brunson, who is an assistant coach and the father of Jalen Brunson, whose godfather is Leon Rose, and whose agent is Sam Rose, is a nepotism spiderweb that led to the reviving of the New York Knicks as a franchise. The Knicks are a family affair as far as the agents and the players that are involved. The Lakers are not the only team wrapped up inside of a, if you will, nepotism scandal. It is rampant across the NBA. It always has been. And B, and I have been since we started the show half an hour ago, because when this old man got to Florida last night, I spent about 15 minutes with the Madre and the dog, and then I went the hell to bed, and I didn't spend any time looking this up. I have been looking since we started, before we started the show a half an hour ago, and from what I can find, no rules were broken. They didn't do anything illegal. A player is absolutely allowed to say, you know what, I appreciate the draft, but I think I'm going to go take my talents elsewhere, to quote somebody. I can't remember who it was that had the take my talents elsewhere line, but to quote somebody, Bronny has the right to decide that he doesn't want to play for the team that drafted him. And Rich Paul has the right to say, hey, as his agent, we are letting you know in advance he doesn't have any intention of playing for you, and unless you're the LA Lakers. What I will say, Lonzo, is that the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics had the opportunity yesterday to do the funniest thing in the history of the league and draft him anyway. Right? Like, they had the opportunity. Could you imagine the incredible rivalry if the Boston Celtics said, yo, hold my beer, and drafted Bronny anyway? Because here's the thing. Not only would they have created a situation where either LeBron comes to Boston or he doesn't play with his kid. I'm not saying Boston, they don't want him. They're set right now. But let's say the Knicks, right? The Knicks draft Bronny, and they say to LeBron, you either come to New York or you don't play with your kid. If Bronny says, yo, bleep you guys, I'm out, and he goes to Australia, there is one thing that's still on the table. The New York Knicks would still own Bronny's draft rights when he comes back to the league. Meaning he couldn't just go somewhere else and hang out and then come back and be like, okay, now I'm a Laker. He would have come back and still had his rights owned by the New York Knicks. No rules were violated. Anybody still could have said, bleep you, Rich Paul, and drafted Bronny James and owned the rights. And by the way, he's not even the first guy to do this. This has happened before. Danny Ferry did this back in 1989 to the LA Clippers. He said, I'm not going to be a Clipper. If you draft me, I'm going to go overseas. If you draft me, I'm going to Europe. Now, Danny Ferry was selected anyway by the LA Clippers, and he followed up on that, and he went to Europe, and he spent some time there. However, Danny Ferry was a top-tier project. Danny Ferry was a top-tier draft pick. Bronny was not. So he's not even the first guy to do anything like this. There's nothing Adam Silver can or would do because no rules were violated. All I'm going to say, and this is really it. This was a squabble over a 6'2" tall shooting guard, not point guard, shooting guard, who averaged 4 points per game off the bench at USC. It would have been hilarious to draft the guy just to send him to Australia and tick off LeBron James. It would have been hilarious. But he's a 4 point per game at the college level guy. He's not worth it. It's not worth it. He wasn't worth drafting anyway. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a few minutes, got a few more things we need to run through with the NBA draft coming up later on in the radio broadcast. We have got a lot more we need to get to. More draft breakdown for some of the other teams around the association. We got some NFL news and notes I want to get into. We've got a Live Tour story that is developing in the world of golf. South Carolina just lost a 4-star quarterback commit that is going to reset their recruiting cycle for just a little while and more. It's all coming up. Plus, I'm going to go on a rant. This may shock you about Greg Berhalter. I know. Unique. Rob Lonzo and you. It's the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
Your one-stop shop for sports betting insight. It's MGM Tonight.
I am going that way.
Beautiful. I'm going to take it. All right, guys, we're going to be back in just a minute. Don't go anywhere because I'm also going to go that way. Yeah, like different way, but that way. Y'all stay right there. We'll be right back. All right. Yes, it is, Jersey Joe. It is Friddaayy indeed. Yes, Bronny and LeBron are already the highest scoring father-son duo in the history of the NBA. That is correct. That's that's in there with that stat that Wayne Gretzky and his brother are the highest points tallying and goal scoring brother duo in NHL history. And Wayne Gretzky's brother had like 1 point in his career.
Accurate stats are accurate stats. I mean,
Accurate
you know.
stats are accurate stats. Oh,
30 seconds.
beautiful. Those of you in the stream chat, is the sound good coming through the stream? I can't tell on my end. All I hear is Lonzo. I'm assuming it's fine.
Best local sports. 97.7.
I have to do that so you know we're coming back.
Yeah, no. I
It was
appreciate
just it was good timing for that.
Upstate.
Talk to Robin Lonzo. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. This is the award-winning Rob Brown Show. Mornings.
On the Fan Upstate.
Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
I mean, we could just use that song as a bumper every break. I'd be okay with that. It is Friday. Friday, got to get down on Friday.
I'm not getting flagged for her.
Your stream has been taken down in Belarus because of an adverse Rebecca Black lyric. It would be a thing. It would be a thing indeed.
It might inspire dancing. I don't think that's allowed there. So, I mean,
Don't know. I've been some places in the South that are very footloose-ish, if a little very Kevin Bacon-y. I should say, I guess Kevin Bacon-y's dad.
Whatever that guy's name. Yeah.
Club move.
I've never seen Footloose, but I know all about it.
Have you never seen Footloose?
Again, there's a certain period of time when I had absolutely no money, so I didn't go to the theater. And a lot of times when I miss something in the theater, I don't watch it later. It just I also didn't back in the day. There wasn't this thing where movies streamed. You had to wait for like 6 months for it to show up on HBO, and I couldn't afford HBO. So there are some windows that I missed because poor. Sorry.
So let's I want to continue this Bronny conversation a little bit. And I want to continue this Bronny conversation because it is not a secret that I have been and remain a LeBron James guy. I have enjoyed the career of LeBron James. I have gone down and said my opinion is that LeBron James is the best player in the history of the NBA. And this is not to start a Mike v. LeBron v. Kobe fight, because that might be as tired as Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame in terms of radio content. Everybody's done it. Everybody's got their take, and nobody is ever going to change their opinion on that take. There's nothing I can say if you're a Kobe guy or a Mike guy that's going to win you over. And I have yet to hear an argument about Mike or Kobe that is going to win me over. What I am going to say is this. Does this not feel a little bit, at least if you are in the camp with me, and I feel like anybody that is looking at Bronny James objectively is in the camp with me. Does it not feel like the Lakers have made LeBron James coming up on his or already at his 40th birthday? Does it not feel like they have made LeBron being a Laker more important than winning basketball games? Is it just me? But it feels to me like they have decided that maintaining LeBron James is more important than being a good basketball team. Now, there is an offshoot conversation here, and it is something I have said a number of times leading up to this draft, primarily while having the discussion about the decision on whether to draft Bronny or not. But the conversation has been, in my opinion, once the LeBron era closes for the LA Lakers, they're going to have to blow this thing up. They're going to have to kick the legs out from under this organization. They are going to have to go full system, red ring of death on the Xbox reboot on this program and build it back up. Because what they've built around LeBron James. And when LeBron's no longer there, they got to go. And that is why I think that despite the fact that there were, in my ever so humble opinion, a number of players better than Bronny James, I think the draft pick for the Lakers was the only one that they could make at 55. I think it is the reason that Rich Paul was on the phone telling other teams, don't draft this kid because he won't play for you. If you do, you'll be wasting a draft pick. But I think it does make sense. And the reason I say it makes sense is everything else on this team was tailored to LeBron James. They went down this path. They committed to this plan of action years ago when they went out and they got LeBron James. They built the franchise around the guy, and when the guy leaves, they're not going to have a choice but to get rid of most everybody there. And again, the thought initially when they went and they got Anthony Davis out of New Orleans, the thought initially, I think, was that LeBron was going to take off the crown and hand it to Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis doesn't want it. Anthony Davis, he ain't that guy. He ain't got that clutch gene in him that makes you the franchise. He is always going to be the guy who's not the guy, but is still a guy on any given team. And so if AD can't take the torch, and there's no indication that he can, if AD can't take the torch, then you've got to build everything around LeBron, because you don't have the money to go get anybody else in this case. And if that is true, taking Bronny to keep LeBron, if it was, and a lot of us think it was, the only way to guarantee LeBron James stays, and the only way to guarantee that you have even a chance next year, was to go draft Bronny. If you go get Bronny, you keep LeBron. If you keep LeBron, then the team you built around LeBron at least gives you a chance. It pushes it 1 year down the road. This is the same theory I had with the hiring of JJ Redick. That's a LeBron guy. All right. They went and got a Braun guy as one more reason for Braun to stay, because once Braun goes, the Lakers go back to square zero. And if that is the case, they are a number of years away. So you can either roll the dice and try to get one more with an aged LeBron James, or you can push the reset button now. And they've elected to do with a former, which is why, great one, I don't think Bronny was an NBA draft pick. Not a lottery pick. I don't think he was an NBA draft pick at all. But the Lakers, in my opinion, they didn't have a choice, because if LeBron truly would have followed Bronny to whoever drafted him, the Laker reset would have happened now with the rookie head coach instead of a year or two down the road.
All right. You have said this. Mario has said this. Several other experts have said that this is possibly the worst NBA draft in a long time. So this was the perfect place for Bronny to come out, because there's less talent everywhere. So it doesn't, I mean, if he comes out another year, like last year or next year, maybe he doesn't get drafted. But this year, because the crop of players was not up to par with other years, it was the best year for him to come out. Also, Tracy on the stream says Lakers will draft Bryce because Bronny is still there and they won't have to rebuild. Bryce could be the best player in the family. A lot of people are saying that Bryce James is the best player in the family. I don't know if they'll go that far, but he'll be eligible, according to the internet, in possibly 2026. So that's not that far away.
No, it's not. I mean, you're 2 seasons away. And again, I think all of us have said over the years that LeBron wants to play a year with his kid. But if the Lakers were to go to LeBron as he's set to sign a new contract as early as this weekend, hey, man, if you'll stick it out through 2026, we'll guarantee you that we'll get Bryce and you can play on a starting lineup with both your kids. That might be intriguing enough to keep the guy. Now, a question is,
Rob, I have a major question. This is going to set everything on fire for sure. Whose kids has the best career when it's over? LeBron or LeVar Ball?
Oh God. And you know what? That's actually a fair question. I'm gonna say the Jameses do, to be honest with you, because
Really?
LaMelo's ankles are held together with chewed gum and scotch tape right now. And Lonzo Ball, actually, Lonzo was having a pretty good run in New Orleans before his knee exploded on him and he got sent up to Chicago. Lonzo's got a chance to still be a pretty good player. It makes sense. It's a namesake thing. Every Lonzo is great at what they do. So I think I'm still, I don't know. That's a great question. It's actually one I'm going to take some time to think about. And I hate that you've done that to me. And that is now time I'm going to spend this weekend thinking about the James kids via the Ball kids.
Because LeVar is smiling right now. He heard that question.
Yes,
Someone
he did.
told him about this, and although he could be watching, and I wouldn't blame him, but he's like, yeah, my boy's got this.
I hate that that's a discussion that now I want to have at some point. As far as this move goes, because I was looking around, and there were a lot of folks that were looking at this and going, is Braun at plus 40 worth all of this? Is he? And in the context of a team that is set up to compete for the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years? The answer to me would be no. As good as LeBron still is, and he is still, Zoe, is it fair to say that LeBron James today is still one of the best 10 players in the NBA? Not 5, let's say best 10.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would argue that.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people who would, but they would be wrong if they did. LeBron James is still one of the best 10 players in the NBA. That's not a question. That's a statement. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler alert. Hello, my name is Rob Brown. I think that it is at this point about LeBron's longevity, about his desire to keep playing more than anything else. We're not talking about a 40-year-old LeBron who is hanging around. Let's put it this way. If we were getting the Michael Jordan on the Washington Wizards version of LeBron, blow it up. Blow it up. It's done. It's over. It's cooked. It's finished. Get him off the stove. We can't go any longer. But LeBron at this stage in his career is not Washington Wizards Mike Jordan. He's still a top 10 player in the league. So if we take the names off of it, instead of saying LeBron James, instead of saying Bronny James, if we just said player A and player A junior, and then everything else was the same. The teams were the same. The numbers were the same. The relationships were the same. If everything was still the same, I can, oddly enough, in my opinion, I can justify this decision by the Lakers because I can say, you're looking at a top 10 player of the league. Don't look at his age. Just look at what he is to the team. A top 10 player in the National Basketball Association, on a team that has one other top 10 player in the professional in the NBA, in Anthony Davis, but a top 10 player in the NBA who cannot be a star. I mean, he's a star, but he can't be the marquee. He's not the franchise. He's not that guy. He does not have that in him. So if he doesn't have that in him, the only hope you have of being successful is to either A, trade everything you got to try to find a new star and build around them, or B, continue to allow the 40-year-old top 10 NBA player to still be a top 10 NBA player, continue to build around them with the knowledge that this guy's going to be gone soon and then it will be hard reboot time. Well, if that's the case and you think you can still compete now, which there's the big question, can they? I don't know. I don't frankly think so, but we'll see. If you think you've got enough talent on this team around and outside of that guy, then you got to do what that guy wants to keep him. You just have to. So do I think Bronny is worth the 55th overall pick? No, I don't think he was worth the pick at all. My man was scoring 4 points a game. And oh, by the way, I know he had the surgery, and I hate the reason that he had to have the surgery. And I guess he almost deserves a little bit of credit for his time at USC, because while he did only average 4.4 points and 2.1 assists per game, he did not have an off season, and he missed the first half of the season because of that thing where he almost died. You may remember that from a year and a half ago or so. And he came back from that, had the surgery, got cleared, worked his butt off, got onto the floor, and then averaged 4 and 2. But he's still, I mean, you got to put away the sentimentality and focus on the reality. The reality is he was not worth a 55th overall selection unless you view it less about the player selected and more about the reason he was selected, which is to keep a top 10 player in the league happy on your team and give yourself a chance to compete for another year or two, because you know when that guy's era is over, this whole thing is getting blown the hell up. That's how it plays out to me. All right, that's some NBA draft talk for you. Coming up in the next hour of the show, we get your water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get your day started. I am going to rant angrily, but because I'm in Florida, I gotta do that really quiet, angry, quiet, angry thing. I gotta do that quiet, angry thing.
Yeah. Just because of the mic, you've already woke everybody in the neighborhood up. So,
Greg. I'm gonna rant about U.S. soccer. We got some baseball because the Braves had maybe their worst performance of a terrible year yesterday. It was spectacularly, impressively bad from Atlanta. I'm going to talk about all that in the next hour. Before we do any of that, Lonzo is about to seduce you, metaphorically, with this sports flash.
Hey, ladies. Round 2 of the NBA draft came to a close yesterday, and the Charlotte Hornets added KJ Simpson out of Colorado with 42nd overall pick. Simpson averaged just below 20 points and 5 assists per game last year while shooting over 43% from distance. Charlotte also acquired point guard Reggie Jackson and 3 unprotected second-round picks from the Denver Nuggets in a second-day trade and a salary-moving save by Denver. The Atlanta Braves wasted a gem of a performance from Chris Sale with a 1-0 loss to the 22-61 Chicago White. That can't be right. Yesterday, Sale went 7 innings, striking out 11 and giving up just 4 hits. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryson, and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports, and it's all Wire to Wire.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. Spartanburg, the Cordell and Cordell crash cam shows an 18-wheeler, an emergency vehicle, and a couple of passenger vehicles on the right shoulder, southbound 85 at mile marker 73, right at Highway 176. Traffic is moving at posted speeds, but you need to move to the left. Northbound 185.
Not really, Stephen, but I appreciate it, though.
Just past Piedmont Highway. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Are you worried that you may not be able to enjoy this?
Have to do that some so Rob can hear it, but I should have took it out. But, I have 3 extra buttons to push at the top, and I missed one. My bad. All whilst reading. Luckily, I am pretending to be a professional, so there's that. They are huge doors, aren't they, Stephen? Look at that. I mean, it's like he's in the spare room at the White House or something. It's weird. Why don't we have hover chairs yet? I need a hover chair. I hate this chair.
Because nobody has invented spacely sprockets yet.
Wow. Did you just go Jetsons? I was thinking hover chair like X-Men. So they can't make a chair like out of the things that used to be on the back of comic books where you could supposedly put 3 vacuum cleaner engines together and make like a hover thing?
I'm going to tell you a story when we come back, Lonzo, that I can guarantee you right now is going to make you laugh on the air.
It's hard to do, man.
I know, I'm guaranteeing it's going to happen.
Oh boy, there's pressure. Because now, my everything tells me to do the opposite of what you want me to do.
I know.
Yeah.
That's how confident I am that you are going to get a chuckle out of this.
Okay.
Hey, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Radio broadcast is underway. Welcome back. Happy Friddaayy, my dudes and dudettes. Rob Brown and the great one, Lonzo, with you here on a Friday morning, which, Lonzo, I assume is beautiful in the upstate of South Carolina?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Few white puffies in the sky. Other than that, I mean, there's a little dismal on the horizon, but right now the sun is shining.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. It's a terrible day for me. Not because I had a 10-hour car ride yesterday that should have been 7.5. Not because I had to get up at 3 a.m. to set up the remote studio to do the show. None of that. That's all fine. That's all well and good. That's all stuff that I enjoy. All right. I don't mind a 10.5-hour car ride because on the other end of it was my old dog who is getting very old. It's wonderful to be able to spend some time on the floor with the old dog. Got to see the mom. I get to go have donuts with the nephew. Well, I don't get to have a donut, but I get to go watch my nephew eat donuts later on in the day. It's good. It's great. I get to play with a band tonight. I get to open for Jefferson Starship. I don't mind the drive. I don't mind getting up at 3 a.m. because, the old expression, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. This isn't a real job for us. It's a job. It's a real job, but it's not a real job for us. I'll tell you, great one, why my day is terrible. And it was made terrible about 5 minutes ago, because you may have noticed during the last break, if you're watching on the stream, available at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate, or the Rob Brown Show on YouTube and the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. You may have noticed in the last segment that I was kind of fiddling with my ear a little bit. And the reason why is there was something on it, and I'm peeling. All right, you can't see it on the camera, but I'm peeling because I went to the U.S. Open 2 weeks ago. We were out in the sun for like 10 hours. Your boy got a little roasted, toasted, burnt to a crisp, and so the skin is starting to peel off a little bit. And I thought, okay, my ears are starting to peel a little bit, and that was bothering me, but I couldn't get the skin to flake off. So I left the room during the break. And I walked over to the bathroom so that I could go see the skin I was peeling out. Oh, no. 'Twas not skin, Lonzo, that was sticking out of my ear and irritating the crap out of me. I am officially growing old man ear hair out of my ears now. I had to pluck a hair out of my left ear, but here's the thing. I had to pluck 3 hairs out of my ear that had grown to a length that I could physically grab them with my hand. They weren't like a little stub, like a 5 o'clock shadow of your hair. No. They were long enough to grab and hang on to. But here's the worst part. The worst part was after I went digging through the toiletry bag and I found the tweezers and was able to yoink 3 hairs out of my left ear. Obviously, I got to make sure I'm symmetrical. So I looked over. There were 3 more growing out of the right ear that I had to yoink old man ear hairs out of my head like every day. I know I'm getting a little bit older. In fact, even though I'm on the backup webcam here and it's a little bit lower HD than the regular HD camera, I can see the pretty heavy gray patch that's growing in on the beard right now, and I accept it. I embrace it. I am ready to enter my salt and pepper era, okay? I know it's here. I'm staring 40 down the barrel. I get it. That's fine. I was not mentally prepared to have to pluck 6 old man ear hairs out of my ear to start my day. I am now officially, as of 5 minutes ago, I was having a great morning, even getting up at 3 a.m. for y'all. I was having a great morning, and within 6 ear hair plucks, Lonzo, my day is ruined.
All right, I was going to throw in a push it joke in there because you did go salt and pepper, but here's a solution. And yes, I did laugh about that. I am curious of the color and texture of the ear, the hair. Did you?
Oh, bro,
did you
they were coarse. This wasn't like a little baby hair sticking. This wasn't like a thin little tiny hair that that wouldn't be noticeable. Man, the second that I turned my head to evaluate the right ear from this far away from the mirror, from a solid 2.5 feet from the mirror, 2.5 feet from the mirror, I could see them. They were like head hairs, but growing out of my ears, man. And not like up in the ear. You know, everybody's got hair up in their ear, not like up in the ear. I'm talking like on my earlobe, like sticking out of my earlobe.
All right. So you weren't specific about that. So I thought they were coming out of your ears.
No.
So okay, so it's those. Here's the thing, and there's an obvious way to fix this. Is just let your hair grow, because if your hair grows, it's over your ears and people can't see it.
No.
I speak from experience. Also, when I do the beard trimming, I have to hit the ears a little bit, and I've had to for a long time. But I always attributed that to being just a hairy man. But maybe it is just being old, I guess.
That's the thing. I'm not a hairy guy. All right. I'm not a hairy dude. I've never really had chest hair. All right. I don't have butt hair. I don't have hair. Like, I'm not a hairy person.
Are you sure you don't have? I mean, how do you know?
I do, because I have somebody in my life who looks at my butt and is more than happy to tell me when I've got strays coming out, because she thinks it's hilarious to send me down the existential crisis of knowing that 40 years old is closer to me than 39 years old. She thinks it's the best thing in the world, even if she is older than me and closer to 40 than me. And in fairness, Steven just said on the chat, I mean, Rob, you are stoked about opening for Jefferson Starship. So, yes.
That is a good point. It really is.
That is a very good point and a very accurate point.
Wait until they start growing on your nose.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm this close to just getting up from this segment to go look right now and make sure I'm clear. All right. But I think I'm good right now. What I can tell you is, man, I'm watching the gray come in on the beard. I'm watching the gray cut. Last time I got my hair cut, the gal who cuts my hair was like, Mr. Rob, you got a lot more gray up here than last time I saw you. Are you ready to start dyeing it black yet?
Oh, no. Oh, man. They asked you if you should dye.
Yeah. I am fighting for my, I've been asked many times why it is that I say things like no cap on the radio, or let's keep it a buck on the radio. Like, Rob, why do you lean into the young person slang? And it used to be because I'm a young person. Because, yes, I'm almost 40, but I still got it. I'm still him. And I very much believe that. So, I know I'm kind of a larger than life egomaniac on the radio. If I had the self-confidence in real life that I have as a radio character, I'd probably be president based on the bleep show that we saw on television last night. But I just pretend like I do on the radio for the lulz. Dude, I gotta tell you, right now, you can mark it down, 7:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 28th of 2024, when Rob had to stop his life to pluck not one, not two, tribute to LeBron, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 coarse, thick, black hairs out of the sides of it, not the inside of the ears, off of his earlobes, and that little pointy thing you got, that little pointy thing that sticks out in the middle of the earlobe. 6 coarse black hairs off of my actual ears. that was the moment I think I looked myself in the mirror and went, man, you better get it together because you're starting to fall apart, bud.
All right, here's the thing, Rob. You and I agree that one of the sexiest men alive is Sam Elliott. So embrace your Sam Elliott, man. The whiter things come in on me, I'm like, okay, I'm just fat Sam Elliott. I'm good with that.
Fat Sam. I want you to know, I have not just accepted, I've embraced the incoming grays. It's very, again, if you're looking at the stream, you can see the patch right there. Like I call it my rogue patch, I got like my little silver streak that's coming in down here on the beard. I got a little silver streak starting to grow on the side of the dome. I'm ready for gray hair. I'm going to be a sexy old man with the gray hair, and I am prepared for that for sure. There is a big difference between embrace your growing gray. My salt and pepper era is going to be my prime. I'm going to be a stud when the salt and pepper era is here. There is a big difference between embrace your incoming grays, and you now have to spend at least some part of every morning making sure that your external ear hairs are properly plucked before you go into public, my man. I'm already having to cut
so you're
the
gonna
nose hairs more often than
Yeah.
ever before, but that I was not prepared for.
You're good. So before you go to a barber, you're going to start trimming the hair on your ears, because it is a little bit embarrassing when they are cutting your hair. And I like things trimmed tight on the side because I have wings that grow out unevenly, and then they do the little trim thing on your ears. It is a little embarrassing. It is, but
yes,
they see that see that all the time. So
dude,
I mean,
listen, I sat here in the last segment. Listen, we're just at this point, we're just going to have to post water cooler cheat sheets the next segment. I know that's broken radio. I don't care. It has to be done.
It's like going to the proctologist. Once you've seen one, you've seen all of them.
Dude, I sat here in the last segment and I was thinking, why won't this little piece of skin that is very clearly from the sunburn I received 2 weeks ago, why won't it peel off? Why won't it come out? And I went and looked only to discover, oh, no. This is not the remnants of a sunburn. A totally normal and cool thing to do for someone my age. Sunburns happen to everybody, and it was a story I was willing to risk sun cancer over to go see the U.S. Open. All right, I'm all good with that. But to go down the hallway, to go into the bathroom at, by the way, where I am, 6 a.m. in the morning, look into the mirror and see a skeleton. You want to know how I saw myself in the mirror when I looked in the mirror this morning? When I looked in the mirror 12, 13 minutes ago and realized that I needed to take a few minutes out of my day to pluck the hair off of the outside of my ear, I looked in the mirror and said, man, you would have fit on stage at the debate last night. That's how old I saw myself as when I looked in the mirror after plucking 6 ear hairs off of the outside of my ear. I thought you could run for president at the age that you are, Grandpa. That's what I saw in the mirror, and it stings a little bit.
All right, I'm trying to research whether wearing headphones for long periods of time may cause hair growth on your ears, because I'm trying to give you a reason that it's not the age, it's the headphones, but I can't find anything.
No, it's just
a theory. Yeah.
There is a weird part of me. For those of you that are not super in tune with the life and times of your cherub-like host, Rob Brown, I'm about 7 months away from 40. And to keep it a buck, because I'm going to keep pretending like I'm young, hip, and cool, to keep it a buck, in a weird way, there's like a little part of me that's kind of excited about 40, right? Like I'm a silver, I know we make jokes about it. I really am a silver linings guy. If there is one thing the old man left with me before he passed, it was the phrase, be an eternal optimist. And I think you kind of have to be, even when the world's on fire, even when we picked the two goofballs we put on stage last night to run a presidential debate, and one of those is going to be in charge for 4 years, even with everything that's going on in the world today, I have always been able to embrace that at their core, people are generally good, and I'm still cool. Even though I'm going to be 40, I'm still cool. So in a weird way, I've kind of been looking forward to 40. I've kind of been looking forward to hitting that milestone and celebrating. I'll tell you right now, any of you that are lucky enough to catch an invite to the Rob Brown 40th birthday bash are in for some shenanigans, because it's going to get weird that night. But man, nothing will send you spiraling and crashing down to earth with the violence that 6 external ear hairs just brought. I just came crashing down to earth like an asteroid, man. Just a tail of flame out behind me as I caused a crater in my own ego during that break. It hurts a little bit, man. It really does. All right. We got to run to a break. I got to go walk to the other room and see if I can fit like a good cry in during this next break. When we come back here in just a minute.
Wait. Come on, man. It's just a part of being, it's just a part of being a man and getting older. I mean, you know.
Listen, I've already told you, I accept getting older. I am going to be the coolest 40-year-old on the face of the planet. I have already accepted that. I'm good.
About that, can you deem yourself cool? I think other people have to do that, don't they?
I think being cool is the acknowledgement that you are cool without having to say that you're cool, even though I just said I'm cool. But I'm on the radio. It's a different thing, all right? That's a different world. I am going to be the coolest. Look, I still wear my hat backwards. Not only wear it backwards, it's a flat bill cap. I can still rock a flat bill cap and be cool in it. I am going to be a kick-ass 40-year-old, but man, there is a difference between I'm 40 and I'm growing external ear hair old. That's a different kind of old that I was not prepared for when I got my day going today. I just wasn't. And here I am having an existential breakdown in front of the entire state of South Carolina. 'Tis what it is. When we come back here in just a minute, it is your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start your day. If any of you are sharing the breakdown that I'm experiencing right now, please know that I would support you, but I'm supporting myself, and that's already too much, all right? But I'm thinking about you. Let's take a break. You know, I very frequently say to the fiance, it's a good thing I love you. Lonzo, it's a good thing I love you. It really is. We're back after this on the Old Man Show and the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, we'll be back in just a minute. Stay right there for me.
Sometimes everything is wrong.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at New Life Weight Loss. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at New Life Weight Loss. I've been working with New Life for about 2 months now, and I can tell you that it works, and they make it easy to do the work. Weight loss is not easy, right? Anybody who's tried it will tell you it's not easy. You got to make sacrifices. You got to make changes. And making changes can be tough, especially when they are changes to habits that have been developed for, I don't know, your entire life, like how you eat, right? New Life knows that. And they cater their plan to your life to help you learn how to make those changes, including your changes in eating habits, your changes in the way that you see your relationship with food. Yesterday, I went on a long road trip. That in years gone by, would have resulted in multiple stops at multiple gas stations where Rob would have grabbed a bunch of junk food and vegged out. But you know what I did? I made a stop yesterday. I picked up a snack that I know is good and healthy for me, courtesy of our friends in New Life, and I was perfectly happy with it because I looked down at the body I've dropped 40 pounds off of so far and said, I'm not going to wreck this over some greasy old potato chips, right? I was proud of the work I've done, and it made me change the way that I looked at food. That's what New Life does. It's worked for me. It'll work for you. Go to the website at mynewlifeweightloss.com, mynewlifeweightloss.com, or call them today at 864-686-5820, 864-686-5820, and schedule your consultation with a weight loss specialist today. They're my friends. They'll be yours at New Life Weight Loss.
Sorry, I didn't have the liner in utility. My bad.
All good. And for those of you on the stream, congratulations. You get to see a little behind the scenes because I can't turn the stream off while we do live reads today because that's how our audio is being delivered. So you're all going to get to experience the wonderment that is a Rob Brown live read today. You're welcome.
Especially you, Belarus.
I'm going to go check and see if I got any other weird hairs growing out of weird places. Be right back.
And I got to do a thing.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Happy Friday, Keegan. Welcome in, Big Dog. Steven, we are going to address that a little later in the show.
20 seconds.
On your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups and the keeper of all things cool in the sports world. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Oh, yeah. Lonzo's here, too.
This is the Fan Upstate.
All right, I'm good. I believe I'm hair free with the exception of the places that I'm supposed to have hair. So I think we're good. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Happy Friddaayy, people. Rob and Lonzo with you. Let's jump in. We were supposed to do it last segment, but Rob had an existential breakdown, and as happens about once a week on the show, you all got to serve as my therapist for a few minutes, and I do appreciate it. However, I don't pay for that. I get paid for this. So,
all right. So let's be honest. You went down the hall to get a hug.
No, I did not. I'm not kidding when I tell you I went to the bathroom, and then after I was done washing my hands, because I'm not a gross heathen, wash your hands, you lunatics, I genuinely inspected my ears and nose one more time to make sure I didn't have any other strays popping out in places that I'm too damn young for them to be popping out. Okay? That's what I did. That's not a joke. That's what happened in the break. Let us get to it. The top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office. Let's get to today's water cooler cheat sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworker saying,
Friday, gotta get down on Friday. No.
Here we go.
welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this lovely Friday afternoon, morning, whatever it is, and start talking sports with your coworkers, your friends, your workplace proximity associates, whatever you may refer to them as. You're going to talk sports, and if you're going to talk sports, you need to know what's going on. Let us dive in head first with item number 1. The NBA draft coming to its conclusion last night, and boy, howdy, are there plenty of stories to talk about. Before the cheat sheet, we talk about the couple that are the most important. We start with the round 2 selection of the Charlotte Hornets with the number 42 overall selection, the number 12 selection in the second round of the 2024 NBA draft. The Charlotte Hornets selected KJ Simpson, a guard out of the University of Colorado. KJ Simpson, 6 foot, 187 pounds worth of shooting guard out of Colorado. Undersized player, but a very creative player with the basketball. An excellent ball handler, but not a very physical one. He's not a guy that can bully his way to the basket, meaning he's going to draw a lot of double teams. There's going to be a lot of shaded defenses. You would. I feel
you know what you did. What you did.
Listen, we're going to fight forever over Dinger, okay? We just are. I don't know how I'm supposed to talk about basketball without saying ball handler. I don't know. He is a wonderful handler of the one ball.
He got handles, yo. So
he got handles, yo.
Yeah. That's the way you can work that in there, and it will sound perfect.
Simpson, one of the most improved in college basketball last season, a guy that was averaging a pretty good number, up over 10 points per game last year with a fistful of assists to go with it. I will say this about him defensively. He's aggressive. He is absolutely a ball hawk. He is a dude that is always looking to try to attack. That's a different thing. He's always trying to attack the ball off the dribble. He is always trying to knock balls around when he's on defense. So I'm looking forward to seeing what KJ Simpson turns into. Do I think that he's a starting guard? Not anytime soon. I think there's the room for him to put 13, 20 pounds of muscle on via an NBA strength and conditioning program, bulk up, maybe get up over that 200, maybe that 205 number, give himself a little bit of fill out so that he can try to move some guys around. What I will say is that he's a terrific ball handler. He's got very good speed. He is an excellent pull-up shooter, and he's got a fantastic jump shot from any time that he can create some space. He is an experienced point guard out of college, something that a lot of teams were looking for and could not find in this draft, and had a very strong season. I think he is a long-term niche player in the NBA, but with LaMelo Ball on this roster, with the other story of the Hornets yesterday, which is a trade they made to bring Reggie Jackson, the point guard from Denver, the backup point guard from Denver down, along with 3 unprotected second-round picks from Denver in order to get that contract off of the books for the Nuggets. KJ Simpson is a wonderful change of pace point guard on this roster, and I'm intrigued to see where he goes. The other NBA story from last night's draft, Bronny James was selected by the LA Lakers with the 55th overall selection in the second round. James, an explosive point guard with good defensive capability. That is probably one thing that we have not spent enough talking about. He is a good defensive prospect for sure, but you will keep in mind, he missed half the season last year because of that heart surgery that he had to have. He went through that heart surgery. He came out the other side. He got cleared. He did play half the season for USC. Really started to turn on as a scorer a little bit later in the season, but a guy that still was only averaging a tick over 4 points a game during the games he was active. This is all about LeBron. This is all about LeBron. This is all about getting Bron the opportunity to play with his kid. It was a move to keep LeBron an LA Laker. It was a move they had to make, and we'll talk more about it, but it was the only selection that I think that the Lakers were able to make with their second round pick. Let's get to item number 2. Did the water cooler go? I couldn't hear it if it did. I'm going to assume yes.
It did, but I mean, I can play it louder.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure. I can't
hear it now.
I'm legally obligated to wait for the water cooler. It's a legal obligation. Last night,
so I could turn it up even louder if need be. I mean,
yeah, we're good. We'll figure it out. Last night in Atlanta, Georgia, the United States men's national team took the L to Panama. 2-1 was your final. The Americans were on the back foot from 18 minutes in when Timothy Weah acted like a jackass and punched basically one of the Panamanian players right in his stupid face. It earned a red card for Timothy Weah, who was sent off. The Americans forced to play over 70 minutes of football, down one man. Flo Balogun was able to get a goal 22 minutes in. The Americans took a 1-0 lead despite being down a man. However, that goal was answered less than 3 minutes later by Cesar Blackman, who equalized for the Panamanians. The Americans had plenty of chances, converted none of them. Story of my life, before Jose Fajardo was able to knock through the game winner in the 83rd minute for Panama. A high-pressure situation. The way a red card was a problem. The second problem was starting goalkeeper Matt Turner, who had to leave the game at halftime due to a rib injury. He had to evacuate the field and allowed Ethan Horvath to step on. Horvath ended up giving up the game-winning goal to Panama. The number of everything in the direction of Panama, they owned over 75% of the possession. They had more shots on goal. They had more shot attempts. They did have way more fouls, but hey, welcome to CONCACAF football. The Central American and South American countries are going to make it a schoolyard fist fight. They are going to poke you, and they are going to prod you, and they are going to foul you, and they're going to hang on you because they want you to overreact. They want you to punch them. They want you to foul them. They want you to get yellow cards and red cards, and an undisciplined American team fell for the bull bleep all over again. It led to a red card early, and the Americans played on the back foot. The problem now is that the Americans have 3 points on the Copa America table. The problem is now the Americans must beat Uruguay this Monday night in Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, if they wish to move on. They are tied for second now within the group. However, The other team with 3 points is Panama, who now have a heads up on the Americans via the one-on-one win. If the Americans want to win, they now must beat Uruguay, a country that has won this tournament 15 times. They know how to win. We do not. All of a sudden, a game that didn't have to matter. Because if the Americans won last night and got 6 points in hand, they would have moved on, and Monday becomes an XP game. Monday becomes a game you get your backups. I'm going to talk about this a little later on. A very disappointing result last night for the American football team as they drop 2-1 to Panama. And finally, item number 3, the Braves suck. We're going to talk about that when we come back. My name is Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show continues after this. It is the Fan Upstate.
Buckle up and get ready for a
It's weird. You heard all the other sound bites, but you can't hear the water cooler.
I don't know why.
I
will
think
say
it's-
that.
I think it's the hair is blocking your hearing. I'm
You're
going
a
to the
bad
restroom
friend.
now.
You're a bad friend. All right, guys, give us 45 seconds. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, thanks for hanging in there, dudes and dudettes. Much appreciated. We are 6 viewers away from 400. So if you guys are enjoying the show, do us a favor, share it around, man. We're trying to grow the show. So is everybody else on the internet. But if we can pop that number up to 400, that would be, I think, the first time we've hit 400 in a long time. We're at 394 viewers right now. So welcome to everybody that's in the chat but not saying anything.
I think you woke up Florida.
I think I may have woke up Florida. I do sometimes wonder, because I know Twitter will show you lives that are happening within your area. So I kind of do wonder, like, is it being pimped on Facebook and Twitter down here? And I wonder if this is like, if there's anybody in the chat that is from my old listening audience back when I used to broadcast here in the Panhandle, jump in and say what up. Just because I'm curious.
Yeah, you started shilling, and right away the numbers started going down. They'll do that.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the Fan Upstate a favorite.
You know what? I was going to talk about the Braves because the Braves stink. And what happened yesterday, wasting an 11 strikeout day from Chris Sale, is a mortal sin of baseball. If your pitcher gets you 11 Ks, you better win the game. And I am going to talk about the Braves absolutely sucking yesterday, dropping a 1-0 game on the road at one of the worst teams in baseball, the 22-win Chicago White Sox. And I will get to that a little later in the show. But I'm making an executive decision here. And the executive decision I've made is that I am going to subject you all to soccer talk right now because I can't hold it in anymore.
Nope.
Yesterday, I was driving home, or I was driving from home because I am a South Carolinian now, to the lovely sunshine state of Florida, down to the beaches here in Pensacola, where I am currently broadcasting to you from.
Whatever.
And when I was on the road, there was a soccer game that started. I know that because it took me 2 hours to get through Atlanta because of said soccer game as I was driving through a couple of hours before it started. But hey, tailgates are tailgates, right? So I was driving through Atlanta. I got stuck in traffic, which meant that I was going to have to listen to the U.S. soccer game against Panama on the radio. Fine, no worries. I'm a radio guy. I like listening to play-by-play. And as I listened to this game, I turned it on, and 18 minutes in, Timothy Weah gets sent off with a red card, which means that the Americans now have to play over 70 minutes of football plus stoppage times down one man against Panama. Now, I'm going to call it how it is. We should still be able to put a field on the team, on the pitch, that can beat most Central American and Caribbean countries, even down a man. Yes, I that much believe that in a country of 320 million people, we should be able to find 10 guys that can beat Jamaica when they have a full 11. We just should, okay? Is that an elitist take? Maybe. Is that an arrogant take? Maybe. I don't care. It's also an accurate take. We should be able to build a team of 10 that can beat most CONCACAF teams with 11. We didn't do that yesterday. Yesterday, we gave away a game to Panama that we did not need to give away. And more importantly, we needed that 3 points. In soccer, in a tournament like this, the way it works is thus. If you win a game, you get 3 points. If you draw a game, if you tie a game, both teams get 1 point. And if you lose a game, obviously, you get no points. At the end of group play, which is where every team plays every other team in their 4-team pool one time, you play 3 games, the point tallies are added up. The 2 teams with the highest number of points move on. Should there be 2 teams that are drawn level, if one team outright beat the other team, they move on. If they did not, then it goes to goal differential. Well, guess what? After 2 games, we have 3 points, courtesy of beating Bolivia 2-0 in the opener, and Panama has 3 points, as Panama lost their opening game to Uruguay, but then beat us, which means that if we both were to win coming up on Monday, not only would we have to outright beat Uruguay, a 15-time Copa America champion and one of the best teams in South America, but we would also need to score a bunch of goals so that our goal differential stays ahead of Panama. Panama gets Bolivia, the worst team in the pool. We get Uruguay, the best team in the pool. And we have got to keep a plus goal differential in case Panama beats Bolivia, because if it comes to goal differential and they beat Panama 3-0 and we beat Uruguay 1-0, guess what? Panama moves on. We get bounced. Let me start with the issues that I had with the game itself. The first issue I had with the game itself is this. The red card was an awful decision from Timothy Weah. And I have no doubt that Timothy Weah probably woke up feeling like a bit of a jackass this morning. In fact, when he got the red card last night and was sent off the field and made sure that his team had to play 70-plus minutes of football down a man, he probably felt like a jackass last night. And he should, because it was that kind of play. Okay? It's a real bad play. But here's the problem. The problem is, you know Panama's going to play that style of ball. Panama knows that they are outmatched. Panama knows that we got the dudes and they don't. Panama knows that on paper, we're a better football team. We're just a better soccer team than they are. So what does Panama do? The same team, the same thing that every other Central and South American team does when they play the United States. They play dirty. They take cheap shots, they foul, they challenge you, they try to get you to react. That's the game plan. It always is. It's never been any different. When we play teams like Panama and Honduras, good teams, but not on the level that we're on in terms of pure talent, especially not now in the golden era of American soccer. They're going to play dirty. And you can't react to it because there's an old sports adage. The second guy always gets caught. You've heard that before. It happens in basketball. It happens in American football. It's a sports cliche for a reason. The second guy always gets caught. Well, Timothy Weah was the second guy and he got caught. Here's the problem. That still comes back to coaching. See, a manager has got to instill that discipline in his team when you know you're about to play a game against an opponent that's going to play you dirty. You have got to instill in your players, you can't react because nothing will make you feel better on planet Earth than when the 90-minute mark ticks by and you win the football game. Nothing. I promise you. Timothy Weah slapping a dude in the face did not give him the same satisfaction as he would have gotten had that clock ticked past 90 and we would have won the contest and guaranteed ourselves a ticket to the next round, to the knockout phase of Copa America. Now, the Americans have got to go beat a good Uruguayan team in order to hopefully, because a win does not guarantee it, hopefully move on to the knockout phase. It was undisciplined, stupid football, and it comes back down to the manager, okay? If your football team, your American football team, is the most penalized team in the league or the most penalized team in the conference, you put that on the coach. That's a coach who does not instill discipline. That is not a coach that's a coach that does not teach his guys how to handle the pressure of knowing a team is going to take some cheap shots. That's on Greg. And then what happened? Even down a man, we were creating opportunities. Even down a man, we were getting numbers. Even down a man, we were putting shots on frame. But what does Greg do in that case? Greg decides, hey, instead of pouring numbers forward, and numbers are hard to orchestrate when you're down a man. But we were still doing it. And instead of leaning into that and trusting your offensive players to establish possession, to maintain possession, to pass well, what did we do? We went 5 across the back line. We put 1 up front, and everybody else played a holding or defending mid so that we limited the amount of pressure that we could pour on against Panama yesterday. Then what did Greg do? For the second game in a row, and I know he's tired, but for the second game in a row, Greg Berhalter decided to take off the one guy creating pressure, Flo Balogun, to bring on Ricardo Pepi again. Now, I'm pulling for Ricardo Pepi. I'm hoping that Ricardo Pepi can find whatever magic he had when he made his debut and was scoring goals for this team out of the gate. But so far, he hasn't done that. So far, he's been ineffective as a striker for this team. Whereas Flo Balogun already had a goal in this contest, already had a couple of other shots on goal in this contest. Flo Balogun was the only guy on the team outside of Christian Pulisic who was generating any sort of consistent pressure to put fear into the Panamanian defense. And who does Greg Berhalter take off the pitch as one of our substitutions? That's right, Flo Balogun, the only guy doing anything, to go back to Ricardo Pepi, who missed 2 opportunities in the last game, only to miss another opportunity in this match. An opportunity that, hey, even a draw would have been a huge benefit to get 4 points, leave Panama with 1 point, and basically make it where we just need a draw in the next round to guarantee our move forward. Now we need a win. I do not understand. And it has put me in this very weird place as a fan. Lonzo, I did something last night that I was going to say I'm not proud of, but I don't really feel either way about it. When that game ended last night, I was driving down I-65 just outside of Opelika, Alabama, home of the Auburn War Eagle Tigers. When I left Greenville, South Carolina yesterday, I was wearing a United States men's national team soccer jersey because it was game day, and I'm a very proud American. I pulled over on the side of I-65 at about 8:30, 8:45 last night. And I stopped my car on the side of the interstate at dusk as the sun was going down. I stopped my car. I got out of my car. I walked to the back of my car. I opened the back of my car. I dug out my packed and covered up suitcase. I opened the suitcase and I pulled a different shirt out of said packed suitcase to change into on the side of the road because I would be damned if I was going to see and have anybody see me wearing a U.S. men's national team jersey after the crap performance that Greg inspired in this team last night. It is the first time in a long time I have been embarrassed to be seen in a particular jersey. So I stopped my car and changed on the side of the interstate so that when I got to the next gas station, nobody would talk to me about the soccer game.
What music was playing when you gave the strip show on the side of the road?
None. I turned everything off. When that game went final, I pushed the power button on the radio and I listened to the sounds of silence. Not the song, actual silence, because I was steaming about that result. Then I got the call to go on BetMGM Tonight last night with Ryan Tristacrick and Nick Ashew. And I went on. And instead of answering the baseball questions that may had me on to ask me, I went on about a 7-minute rant about this game because I was so mad. And then as I finished the last hour and change of my drive, I came to a realization. Hot take of the day. I hope we lose on Monday. I do. I hope we lose on Monday. And I hope we get bounced out of the quarterfinal tournament. Because while a high-stakes international tournament is a great thing for the boys to get some XP in as we move ever closer to a World Cup that we host in 2 more years, while XP is very important playing together as what is basically the World Cup roster, I would rather the team doesn't get the experience and maybe, just maybe, the United States Soccer Federation sacks up enough to fire this clown of a head coach and get anybody in who understands maybe we shouldn't keep doing the same things that we keep doing and keep losing because of. Maybe we should try something, anything new. And the reality is this. If we win against Uruguay, even if we get bounced in the very first portion of the knockout round, Greg is not going anywhere. They're going to go, oh, hey, great job. He got us to the knockout round. That's not good enough for me anymore. I'm tired of being embarrassed. I'm tired of being the bridesmaid. I'm tired of a country of 320 million people being fielded into a garbage can of a football team when we know we should be better. Here's the reality. If we lose to Uruguay on Monday, Greg's going to be fired. And it's the first time in the career of Greg Berhalter I've said this result will get this man fired, but the rehiring of Greg Berhalter made the USSF get laughed at, internationally laughed at. And his brother isn't there to protect baby boy anymore. He's gone. The nepotism hire was there, but he's not there anymore. If we lose to Uruguay, even the folks on the broadcast last night were saying this tournament's a referendum on the status of U.S. soccer. And if Greg can't get you out of a group of which there was only one other legitimate contender, Uruguay, then he deserves to be fired. I have never, and I can say this because I thought about it for an hour last night, never actively rooted against the team that I love, and I love this team. I am passionate about this team. I want the stars and stripes flying high in international football. I have never actively rooted for, I've rooted for some of my teams not to win, but I've never actively rooted for them to lose. And what I saw last night was so embarrassing that on Monday, I am actively rooting for the United States to lose. I'm actively rooting for us to lose because it is the only way that we're going to get rid of Berhalter. And here's my take. Here is the hot take. If we don't contend in a World Cup that we are hosting, if we don't contend in a World Cup that's on friendly soil, if we don't contend with Balogun and Pulisic and Weah and McKinney and Reyna, etc., we're just never going to contend. And if we waste this roster on Greg Berhalter after the bull bleep that I saw yesterday, I'm done being a fan. There's no point in me investing my time, energy, emotion into U.S. soccer because it will prove that we are happy with mediocrity. It will prove to me that we care more about making money in the short term than winning in the long term. I've never said this before, Lonzo. I hope we lose Monday. I hope we get embarrassed Monday. I hope we get our asses kicked on Monday so that maybe someone will wake up and smell the damn coffee and make the change that we needed to make 5 years ago.
Wow. You okay now? You good? You all right?
No, I'm not okay.
All right, because you're rooting.
I want you to know
you're rooting against America. That's disturbing.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I want you to know the luckiest thing in the world for you right now is that I'm here and I can't scream into this microphone without breaking it. Because if I was there with you right now, your noise canceling headphones would not be enough to cancel the noise. Okay, it just wouldn't.
He's really not yelling because his mama yelled on all.
Correct.
Keep it down, Robbie.
I am screaming and making noise. Lonzo is about to conduct an audible symphony that we call the Sports Flash.
It's a bittersweet symphony. It is. A jury has decided that the NFL will pay $4.7 billion in damage in the NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit. After deliberation for nearly 5 hours, the jury decided the NFL caused damages by airing out of market games on Sunday Ticket at an inflated price and restricted access by only airing on a satellite provider. Damages can be tripled under an antitrust violation, meaning the league could be responsible for just under $15 billion, though the NFL is appealing the verdict. Of course they are. The Atlanta Braves wasted a gem of a performance from Chris Sale with a 1-0 loss to the Chicago White Sox yesterday. Sale went 7 innings, striking out 11 and giving up just 4 hits. Atlanta managed only 3 hits in the game, going 3 for 27. Atlanta falls to 44-35 and remains 8 back of Philly in the NL East.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell construction cam shows I-85 running good between Greenville and Spartanburg, with the only slow spot at the heart of the construction at Pelham Road, mile marker 54 in both directions. Southbound 85 Spartanburg at mile marker 74, 2 semis and a repair vehicle are on the right shoulder blocking the right lane. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
It's a first day.
I caught the commercials this time before anyone told me. Rob has left the room to go look out at the ocean and contemplate life. At least he didn't burn his jersey. Some people do that, but burning a jersey on the side of the road, probably not a good idea.
I can't do that because jerseys are expensive.
I don't know, though. It was
I should pull up
Alabama, so well, no, you don't burn stuff in Alabama. They used to winters there.
Can we take calls when I'm on stream? I actually don't know.
I can neither confirm or deny your accusations, Stephen. But if you are someone who listens or follows the show, you would understand that I have disdain for a certain kind of music, and quite possibly you could be right. But we love our sponsors. Quit trying to get me in trouble, Stephen. Well, I hope the boss is completely out of town. I have decreed that we are going over this hour. I've decreed that.
How about me?
Because I'm in charge.
You are in charge.
Okay.
You're a manager.
Yeah. It's my show now. The whole building. All right. This part of it. But still. Yeah.
The upstairs part, specifically this half of the upstairs part.
Well, it's more like it's a weird, it's like a third, 2/3, maybe. I don't know. The problem is Rob couldn't get it all out because he can't.
Sorry, John Dog. I am
express with volume.
Yes, I cannot express my volume like I want to and I'm used to. And no, John Dog, I can't simmer down about this. I don't know how. Okay, let me put it this way. Do you know how bad of a performance that we have to turn in to get me on the same page as Alexi Lawless? To have Alexi Lawless go on a rant that I go, good take, Alexi Lawless. Because 99% of them I despise. But this one, the rant he went on last night after that L, I was all on board with.
Upstate and Odyssey Sports Station.
New life in the next break, by the
For
way.
an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only on
The Fan Upstate. Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is the third hour of the Rob Brown radio program, the four most electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment underway right now. And I just realized that because I'm broadcasting remote and because I can't perform with my usual amount of volume and candor, my excited voice when I'm in Florida, Lonzo, is definitely FM rock DJ style. And it's a little aggravating, to be honest.
Why? I mean,
Because I'm not an FM rock DJ.
Yeah, but
Primarily.
I think everyone in radio has a little bit of that want in them to be spinning them hits. I mean, come on.
Spinning that. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate, where we're spinning them hits every weekday from 6 until 10 a.m. commercial free. Award-winning hits. Yeah, we're not commercial free, but yeah, we're not commercial free, but we are award-winning. Welcome back, folks. Great to have you. I am Rob. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are kind of bouncing all over the place this AM, talking a little bit of anything and everything. I was going through because I am bad at my job and forgot to open the text line earlier this morning, which is now officially opened at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air.
Text line is a place of doom. That's the reason why I played that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now. It is. Yes, it is. That's okay though. This morning, Despite the fact that Fridays for this show are meant for the intent and purposes of getting weird, the doom and gloom.
I'm sorry she drowned you out. She does that sometimes.
It's okay. Listen, if I'm going to get drowned out on my own radio show, I prefer it to be by Rebecca Black, you know, like the diva that she is, the absolute goddess of music that is Rebecca Black. If I'm going to get drowned out, that's how it should happen.
Wonder what she's doing these days.
Singing about other days of the week. Her new hit Tuesday coming out next week.
Tuesday's already been done. Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday's gone?
Yeah, Tuesday's gone with the wind, actually.
Yep. Are there, here's my question.
There's no Wednesday songs, are there?
I was going to ask, are there any songs about Wednesday? Because it feels like Wednesday, like genuinely Wednesday's the worst day of the week, right? Like objectively.
Yeah, but no Thursday songs either, I don't think. So
there's got to be a song about Thursday somewhere. Let's see.
I don't know.
Jack Hartman has a song called Today is Wednesday. Macklemore. Okay, nope. There is a popular song. Macklemore has a song called Wednesday Morning. So there is at least one.
Macklemore, yeah, like one hit, right? So I mean, but at least there's a song out there that's from an artist that is known. Okay.
Apparently, there's a band called Josh and Melon that has a song called Thursday Night. Harry Nilsson has a song called Thursday. Here's why I didn't go to work.
Harry Nilsson, Cats in the Cradle, I believe.
Aha.
Yes.
That's why the name stuck out. So there you go. So there are songs about every day of the week, and Rebecca Black only has 2 of them. Get it together, Becky. We need a Tuesday song from Becky Black. It needs to happen. It happens. Jacob texted the show and said, Rob, most rap songs are about humping day. That's a good text, Jacob. That's a good text. It's a very good text.
And very accurate, I believe.
Yeah. It's a very good text. I like that text a lot. Texter says, Rob, did you see Alexi Lawless post game going off? That dude was angry. I'm not going to spend too much more time on soccer. I'm not, but I am going to go ahead and get it out of the way now and just finish it and move on, because I don't want Lonzo to hurt himself rolling his eyes any harder than he already has. But yes, Texter, I did. Because after the game was over, I turned off my radio in the rig, in the truck, on the drive home. And when I got here, as I lay my sweet head down for my evening slumber, Rob Brown I'm a background noise when I go to sleep guy, right? Like I gotta have background noise. I have played in a rock band for 17 years. I have tinnitus and it's pretty gnarly at night. So I gotta have background noise. I gotta have a little music playing or the TV on. I gotta have something. And so what I decided that I was gonna do was I was going to turn on the television and check in the world of sports just to find out what else I had missed during my drive home, since I had a radio show to do this morning. And I came across, as I did, the rants of one former United States men's national team player, Alexi Lawless. And I am going to tell you that about 99% of Alexi Lawless's take I despise, okay? And I'll tell you why. I'm just going to call it what it is. When Alexi Lawless worked for ESPN, I liked Alexi Lawless a lot because Alexi Lawless was measured and he was nuanced and he was efficient. He was good. And then he jumped over to another network. And when he got to the new network, he jumped into the embrace debate culture. He realized, Skip and Steven are making a lot of money by saying dumb things as if they're good takes. And they get paid a lot of money for that. I'll be the soccer version of that. And congrats to him. Hate the player, hate the game, not the player. Alexi Lawless has become that. He became a guy that just fires off questionable and objectionable takes about U.S. soccer in order to get his clicks and tweets. And it works because here I am talking about them. Please do not pay attention to them. They're bad takes. It is very, very rare that Alexi Lawless says something that I go, great take, Alexi, great take. That's a good take. I agree. Here's what I'll say about Alexi. I know that his character on television is a fraud. And I know it's a fraud because every now and then he has moments like he did last night where the passion for U.S. soccer shines through his bullcrap. And it happened last night. Every now and then, the passion and the care that he has for this team and for this country shines through the fabricated, manufactured engagement farm industry. Thanks, JJ Redick. BS. That is largely Alexi Lawless's entire career after he left ESPN. And last night was one of those nights. Last night was one of those nights that you could tell his anger about what we saw on the field shined through his otherwise traditionally fabricated takes. His anger about what we saw on the pitch was more than the fabricated garbage that he puts out there most of the time in order to get internet clicks and attention. And I know that because also me. It's rare. But like I said in the last segment, Monday's going to be a very tough day for me. It's going to be a tough day for me because I'm going to have to do something that I don't think I've ever done before. I have to root against my own country. I have to root against my own team. You know how... And those of you that are parents, you may understand it. Those of you that were kids, which I think was all of us, but those of us that were kids at some point, that were fortunate enough to be brought up in a loving home. I know I'm very lucky in that regard. Do you remember the worst punishment that you ever took? And if you're a parent, do you remember the worst punishment that you ever had to dish out to your kids? I'm not going to ask you to specify, but do you remember a time where you had to dish out like a particularly severe punishment to a child in your life?
Any punishment is severe to me. Anytime you have to chastise your children. So
fair enough. I can remember one specifically when I was growing up.
Taking that punishment. It was my entire childhood.
Fair enough. I'm glad you turned out sort of okay. When I was growing up, I was a pretty good kid. All right. I was a pretty good kid, but I was also kind of an idiot. I still am, but I was then too. And I remember one particular punishment. I had done something very dumb with a neighbor down the street named Jared Boswell. And he and I did something really, really stupid. And we got in trouble. And this would have been about 1993, 94. I was probably 9-10 years old at the time. We did something very dumb, Jared Boswell and I did. And it was the only time, great one, that I had discipline taken out upon me with a belt. All right. It was the one time I took a whooping. Because again, I was a pretty good kid. I didn't really break the rules.
I had one of those broken over me before. It can be done. No, I mean the belt broke in half.
Yeah.
But you don't. Yeah. I think everyone wants to know, as we approach 500 views for some reason, I think everyone wants to know, what did you do? Statute of limitations. It was 30 years ago. You're probably good.
Fair enough. The neighbor, Jared Boswell, and I decided that we were going to go out with hairspray and a lighter, and we were going to light anthills on fire, and we burnt down an entire construction lot. It was pretty bad. Well, let me say that. The lot still had like trees and woods. Like they weren't building anything on it yet, but they were getting ready to clear it to build a house. And we kind of started a pretty decent size, like a 2 fire truck forest fire on accident. So it was dumb. All right, I get it.
Should I find the arsonist lullaby by what's his name?
No, we're just gonna pretend I never acknowledged that on the radio. Is what we're gonna do. Yeah. So
kids do that stuff sometimes, and it got out of hand.
Dumb. You know what?
You know what? You deserved a belt over that.
I did. I did. Okay. And I know that now. I recognize that. So I got the belt. And I very much remember my old man using the phrase, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. And I remember, maybe not saying out loud because, again, the old man had the whooping belt, saying, yeah, no, I doubt that because I'm about to get whooped across the rear end with a belt and you're holding the belt. I think mine's going to hurt more. I didn't understand what this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you meant. What it meant was it was going to be emotionally wrecking to him to have to discipline his child, a child that he loved, and he did. A child that he loved, to discipline his child that harshly was going to make him an emotional wreck, but he also understood that that was something that needed to be done to teach me a lesson to be a better person, to be a smarter person, to think through my decisions in the future. It didn't work, obviously. Here I am, but you get the point, right? That's where I am right now with U.S. soccer. I am in the this hurts me more than it hurts you phase of U.S. soccer because I'm looking at it and I'm going that I know on Monday when that game rolls around and I am not going to put on red, white, and blue. And I am not going to go meet my friends at the local watering hole. And I am not going to be loaning my support from 15 hours away to the boys playing at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. I am going to be actively rooting against a group of young men that I have been actively rooting for about 20 years of my life at this point. I have to root for a team that I love to lose. This is going to hurt me more than anything else does. It is going to hurt me more than a loss to Panama. It is going to hurt me more than a loss to Colombia. It is going to hurt me more than any L I've ever watched this team take. But it is because sometimes pain teaches you a lesson. Sometimes discipline, a punishment, teaches you a lesson, and an embarrassment may teach U.S. soccer a lesson here. An embarrassment may teach the players a lesson. An embarrassment may force U.S. soccer to make a change that needed to be changed. It needed to be made years ago because they're just out of excuses if we lose this game. That being said, here's a question for you guys. Hit me on the text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, at 71307, or tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. Have you ever been in a position before where you rooted for your team to lose? Because I can't remember ever having done this before. Have you ever been, whatever sport, whatever level, your college football team, your NFL team, your NBA team, your MLB team, have you ever been in a spot where based on the circumstances, the situation your team was in, you were actively rooting for your own team to live? Is this anything you've ever experienced before, Alonzo? Have you ever been in a spot where you looked at one of your favorite teams and said, it's gonna suck, but I hope we lose today?
Yeah, I wanted the Panthers to lose so they could get CJ Stroud, but we see how that worked out.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't think I have. Even when there are NFL draft picks on the line, I've never been team tank. Even when I needed a new NBA coach, I've never been team tank. Looking at you, every coach for the Pelicans ever.
So you haven't been that, oh, I know it's reverse psychology, so I'm going to root for my team to lose because if I root for them to lose, they're going to win. Because that sounds like honestly, if I get to that spot, I genuinely say, you know what, this means I still want to, like, it's kind of like a jinx, right? Like if you say the thing and you jinx, it's a jinx. But if you can't force a jinx. You can't say the opposite thing to cause a jinx because you still mean you want the other thing to happen. You can't force the curse. Like you just naturally have it. No, I thought of another. I wanted Will Muschamp to lose so he would be gone.
That was the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was the first one in my mind. My first thought was, I bet there are some Gamecocks that were actively rooting for the Gamecocks to lose some games to force Will Muschamp out. I'd be willing to bet that was the case. 71307, start your text with fan. Have you ever rooted for a team that you love to lose? Have you ever rooted for another team to beat your team because you knew in the long run that would make your team better? That's where I am with U.S. Soccer. On Monday, I will be rooting for my own country, a country that I love, a country that I support, a country whose every international team I go hard in the metaphorical paint for. I hope Uruguay kicks our asses on Monday, because while it will sting, we'll be better for it in the long run. We will. No, Tommy, you are not up with me. I've been up 4 hours now, but I love you, and that's why I'm here in town to play some music this weekend. I'm in Pensacola, Florida. Lonzo back in the palatial Fan Upstate studios in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm done with soccer because I would like to find my zen when we come back. So let's talk about the Braves, shall we, on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
New life.
This is WWE Intercontinental Champion der Ringgeneral Gunther, and you're listening to the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at New Life Weight Loss. I've been working with New Life for a couple of months now, but let me tell you about something very, very exciting. I am down in Florida right now. I am playing some music with the band, and for those of you that have followed the story for a long time, you know that one of the things about my band, we all wear matching shirts. We all wear shirts of different superhero groups or different comic book characters or whatever. Well, I was very concerned because I got out fat for my shirts. I was worried, am I going to look awful on stage wearing too small of a shirt? Turns out I'm not, because of New Life Weight Loss. I was at 262.5 just a few months ago. I'm all the way down now at 222.5 at this point. I am back in my old size shirts. I am now back wearing the shirts in the band that I wore 3 or 4 years ago when I was a little bit younger, better shape, before I ballooned up. Because New Life Weight Loss has helped me put together a diet plan that works for my chaotic life, that has helped me not only lose the weight, but more importantly, change my habits with eating, change my relationship with food, so that once I get to my goal weight, I'm only like 7 pounds away from it, I'm going to be able to keep it off. I'm going to be able to keep it off and still fit in shirts that I did not fit in back in January and February of this year. New Life made a plan that works for me so that I could work with the plan. It has been wildly successful. I am down from a 46 waist to a 38 waist, and probably by the end of next week, a 36 waist. It has been phenomenal. They can do the same thing for you if you call them right now at 864-686-5820, 864-686-5820, or go to their website, mynewlifeweightloss.com, mynewlifeweightloss.com. Get yourself going, dropping weight, feeling better, looking better, and just being generally more healthy with New Life Weight Loss.
I apologize. I have to tinkle.
Stop it. I'm not doing it again.
You started it. You guys are just so childish. So what is the song that you want to hear Jefferson Starship play?
We built the city on rock and roll because I'm tired of that song being disrespected.
Why'd I ask that question? I set myself up for that.
What else would it have been?
I'm not quite sure who the singer is now. So are they doing like half a set from before the 80s and another set?
I want them to do I want them to do a version of every Starship. Regular Starship, Jefferson Starship, all the Starships.
Jefferson
Mickey
Airplane.
Curtis.
Yeah, is it Mickey? So he's one of the original singers. So yeah. So but so is Grace Slick. Grace Slick. So
let's see who's.
Oh no, that's not good.
Fans,
Your promo wasn't day party.
grab your coffee and get a jolt of sports on the Rob Brown Show with Lonzo. Now, weekday morning 6.
Oh no, it's David
Upstate.
Freeberg is the current vocalist.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. All right, there you go. I don't know if we were on the air yet or not, but now you all know who the current lead singer of Jefferson Starship is. If you were curious, if you needed to know.
You have to say it again because we were not on. We were not.
Okay,
we were not up yet. So
good. Well, then you don't know that it's David Freeberg is the current lead vocalist for Jefferson Starship, who I'll be opening for tonight down here in Pensacola. Looking forward to that. Going to be a good weekend of music for the. I don't know. I've come close a couple of times.
You should plug the show. I mean, there's over 500 people watching. I got to believe a lot of it has to do with Florida. There's people in the area might want to come and see the guys.
I think so. If you're down in the Sunshine State between, say, Panama City and Pensacola, the boys tonight got to be opening up at the Destin Whiskey Festival. Also tomorrow night, because hey, I can't get in trouble. They're not in the market. Juana's Pagoda, our favorite little tiki dive bar in Navarre Beach, Florida, will be playing at tomorrow night and then again Sunday afternoon. If you happen to be listening in the Florida area, come on out, see the band.
What is the band's name? Because you never said
Shenanigans. How appropriate. How fitting. I know. Should I grate one? Should I go live on my social media from the show tomorrow night? Like, I'm not going to go live on the station page.
I would stay away from the station's page.
Yeah,
but yeah, why not?
Because I will acknowledge our nighttime shows. I wouldn't label them family friendly. All right, they're definitely a show for grown-ups. Should I
FCC violation run rampant?
Correct. We would not be able to play our show on the radio. I'll just put it that way. Should I go live on the Rob Brown Show social media tomorrow and let people have a little behind the scenes look at a shenanigans show from down in the Florida Panhandle?
I would say do it early though.
The late show, the latest part of the show is the most fun. That's where the journey comes in.
Yeah, but that's when you're making decisions that maybe you shouldn't make on social media. So I'm just saying, unless you have someone there to help you out, which you could.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you because we do play again Sunday, and it's a daytime show on Sunday. Rob is not going to be unloading the problems of the world into the bottom of a barrel of Jägermeister on Saturday. Like, he's got to remain calm on calmish on Saturday. So it's not going to be like, I'm not going to be tanked. I'm going to have, I'm going to have like a Bahama Mama because I'm on the beach. But I think I'll tell you what, here's what I'll do.
You can still rock though, right? I mean, sure. you don't need all that to rock, right?
I mean, my man, it is 8:30 in the morning and I'm rocking right now. The rock never stops. We built this city on rock and roll. I'll tell you what I'll do. Tomorrow night at the Juanas, if you'd like to check it out, follow me on either Instagram or Twitter at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show on Instagram and Twitter. And I will go live for, say, like half an hour of the show tomorrow. So if you want to see what the band looks and sounds like, since we've yet to book a gig we need to book a gig up in Greenville. We've not booked a gig in Greenville. We need to change that. But if you've not gotten a chance to see the band, I'll tell you what I do. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook at The Rob Brown Show, look up The Rob Brown Show on any of those social medias, and I will do, let's say, about a half an hour of towards the end of the show tomorrow night, so you guys can get a little taste of what the shenanigans is all about.
I'll have to check it out after, but I've seen bits and pieces.
Well, I mean, it might be in your time zone because, like, 11 o'clock here is 10 o'clock there. That's not quite past your bedtime.
Right. No, I was more thinking about, I got this other thing that I'm doing during a certain time on Saturday nights, and it sounded like
that's true. All right, so that ends
right in there.
That ends at 9 o'clock Eastern, which is 8 o'clock here.
I'm good.
I'll tell you what. I will go live, Great One, for the opening of the second set, which is 1 hour after your show ends on Saturday. So that'll give you time to get to the house and get your popcorn ready.
Okay. All right. I can throw it up on the big screen too.
There it is. I'm even going to bring my fancy cell phone clamp, and I'm going to put it up at the top of the bar so you can actually see it. I'm going to do that just for you, pal.
Sweet. I feel so blessed, and everyone else gets to be a part of it too.
Yes, and all the rest of you can enjoy. Follow me on social media at The Rob Brown Show. And I would say if you want to dig the band, check out the social media around 10:15 or so on Saturday night, y'all's time. I think that's around the time we take our break, but I'll go live when we come back from our, we only take one break. We play 2 hours, take a break, play 2 hours. I will come back to the second set with going live so that those of you that ask can check it out.
Hey Rob, this is the first time you played since all the weight loss, right?
It is.
Wow.
That is correct.
So you're gonna have a different kind of conditioning coming up. I mean, you're gonna feel looser. You're gonna be able to move around better. All that kind of stuff.
I mean, I'm still old and out of shape. I'm just the shape that I'm in is less round now. That's all.
You might do something crazy.
I made no promises. It's also the first show I've played since early February, so it's been a minute.
You're not doing any AC/DC, right?
Yes, I am.
Oh no,
yes, I am.
Oh no, but you got Monday to recover. So
I got Monday to recover. That's exactly right. All right, we got a bunch more we need to get into. Shane says stage dive. I'm not going to stage dive, but since I've killed this segment effectively, I will tell you a quick story that Tommy Siren in the chat's the bassist / organizer of Everything Band. And he's got video of it somewhere. We did a show, golly, 5 years ago, Great One, that I think we were doing AC/DC, and I hit one of the scream notes at the end of the song, and I passed out and fell off the front of a stage. That's happened. I blacked out on stage and fell face first. Fortunately, it was at Juana's, where the area in front of the stage is beach, so it's sand, so I fell face first into the sand. But I will tell you,
after people stopped laughing, did they finally turn you over so you could breathe?
No. Let me tell you what happened, so I can at least try to salvage some dignity, as I'm just outing all of my worst stories here on the show today. To salvage some dignity, I went face first in the sand in a blackout. Not, for the record, was not drinking. I just screamed so much I ran out of oxygen in my brain, okay? I was not even drinking that night. Ran out of oxygen, face first. When I came to, I turned around and looked up, and as I tried to figure out why am I on the ground when I was just on the stage last, I remember, and I saw the other 3 members of the band, not the drummer, staring off the stage, looking at me into the mic. I said, "Why did you stop? Play the song." They finished the song, I finished the song, and then we just all pretended like nothing ever happened until the footage started making the YouTube rounds a couple of days later. Pretty spectacular stuff.
They probably wanted to make sure that you didn't die. I mean, that's probably, I'm just guessing.
Yeah, we got a show to do, man. We got a show to do.
They didn't care enough to come off the stage, but they was like, did he do that on purpose? That would be my first thought.
Yeah, I would have played it off as a stage dive, except for I was told that I crashed down onto like a 60-year-old woman who was in front of the stage. So, oops,
no.
my bad. My bad.
Hey, I'm glad you had someone to break your fall. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, that
I did.
helps.
I did. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, the NFL Network has released what they have labeled the Mount Rushmore of all 32 teams in the NFL, the four most important and impactful players of every team in the National Football League. So, who did the NFL place on the Mount Rushmore of the Carolina Panthers? We will address that when we come back. We'll give you the Mount Rushmores of a couple of the other popular teams in the area, and we will see who you agree with and who you disagree with on some NFL Mount Rushmores according to the NFL Network when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk, real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
Is the sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. The Fan Upstate.
Gotta admit, I've never heard of anyone singing so loud that they lost consciousness.
It wasn't loud. It's that, you know, the in You Shook Me All Night Long towards the end where it's that all night long.
Yeah.
I did that, but I do it way up high like AC/DC does it. And I will tell you that, especially towards later in the band years, what I do, great one, is when I get to that part, I take a knee on stage because I get lightheaded every time I do it. Okay, it zaps the oxygen from your brain, but I got a show to do. So every time I hit that all night long, I go lightheaded. So what I do now is I take a knee and I brace myself with my hand on the stage and I make it look real dramatic, like that's how into it I am. It's just so that I can like let the oxygen flow back to the brain. But this time that I did it, I stood up on the front of the stage. I did like the whole thing, and then I just lights out, blacked out, face first off the front of the stage.
Wow. I mean, you've lost some teeth over something like that. You've had the rail slide that didn't go well. I mean, you know, you should be more careful.
I really should. I'm snagging a picture. Great one. Smile real quick.
I don't do that.
Okay, do something that I can take a picture of real quick. Beautiful. Thanks.
That was a mistake. I realized that was a mistake, but it's
yes,
too late
it was,
now.
but that's okay. We're gonna roll with it.
It's too late now, of course.
It's too late, baby. It's too late. But we really did try to make it.
Look at you throwing in some Linda Ronstadt.
Yes, sir. It's too late, baby. Yeah, it's too late.
I had a crush on her as a preteen.
Though we really did try to make it.
She was pretty. Her voice was excellent.
Oh, her voice was excellent. No, face first crowd surfing is not recommended for anyone ever. I tried it once, 0 of 10, no stars, would not recommend, negative Yelp review. Don't try it. But I will say, in my own defense, I turned around. I got the boys back in time. We finished the song and rolled on like nothing ever happened because I am a hero.
I mean, if you're in a band, those are things that happen. We've had speakers catch on fire.
Yep.
The ceiling was falling in one place we were playing. You just keep going. That's what you do. The other day, I played the wrong music bed, but I kept on going because that's what you do.
That's all you can do.
71307.
Keyword fan.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show, only on the Fan.
Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown and the Great One Lonzo with you. Happy Friday, my dudes and dudettes. I am Rob Brown, the Great One Lonzo, back in the network studio in the upstate of South Carolina. I'm coming to you live from the beaches of Pensacola, Florida. Just as a brief reminder, off on Monday, as I will be driving back to the upstate on Monday. So we are off on Monday. We will return on Tuesday and Wednesday. We are all off on Thursday as we celebrate our nation's independence on the 4th of July. We then will be back on Friday. And while we are talking about it, let you know that coming up in July, the final full week of July, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, we will be live at ACC Media Days up in Charlotte, North Carolina on Monday, the 22nd. The Rob Brown Show will be live in the AM. Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole will be live that evening. On the 23rd, the Rob Brown Show and Wire to Wire will be live at ACC Media Days. On Wednesday, the Rob Brown Show will not be live because Lonzo and Rob will be recovering for very different reasons from the Creed show that is on that Tuesday evening. So we will be off on Wednesday the 24th. However, Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel will be live at ACC Media Days on Wednesday. And then on Thursday morning, we will make our triumphant return as we are live from ACC Media Days Thursday, July 25th. That is Clemson's Day. So we will be hopefully grabbing some interviews with Dabo Sweeney and some of the other leaders and vets of that football team. And then we will have those interviews for you when we make our return. So the 22nd, 23rd, and 25th, the Rob Brown Show will be live from ACC Media Days. The 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel. Our afternoon co-parts, D-Train and C-Money, will be live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Hey, as we get closer to the Creed concert, I'm going to need some help about how to behave and what concert etiquette is, because I've only been to Christian rock concerts. I've never been to an actual secular, what I would call, and a lot of people do, secular rock concerts. So I don't know what the proper behavior is, and I'm going to need some assistance because I don't want to stand out because I'm not doing things, or there's some things I won't do.
Don't worry.
But,
I'm here to make your life better, bud.
So I can watch you and Keegan and some of the other guys and go, okay, that's who I need to emulate.
I'm here to help. Absolutely. I am going full Florida man that day. All right. The NFL Net has put out its Mount Rushmore of every NFL team through 2024. Now, the Mount Rushmore discussion is absolutely what Rob Brown refers to as peak off-season radio. It's a conversation that effectively allows anything to be discussed. Hey, what's your Mount Rushmore of cereal? What's your Mount Rushmore of sports movies, right? It allows you to effectively force people into power ranking, selecting 4 of anything. But when the NFL Network does it about NFL teams, I kind of think it's worth the discussion. So, Lonzo, if I asked you to name the Mount Rushmore of Carolina Panthers all time, what names would you give me?
everyone called Steve.
Well, there is a Steve on the NFL's Carolina Panther Mount Rushmore. Obviously,
Sure.
Steve Smith Jr. I'm glad to know that you were going to put Steve Wilkes on that Mount Rushmore, though. He did a very good job as the interim coach.
We're talking about players. We're not talking about coaches as far as players go. Who was that? Who was that Cajun quarterback that led him to the first Super Bowl?
Oh, old Jake Delhomme.
Jake Delhomme. Yeah. I put Jake on there. I can't remember his name, but I know he was Cajun.
There is a quarterback on the NFL Network.
I'll put Kevin Green on there.
Kevin Green, we are both putting on there, not just because he was a Carolina Panther, but also a WWE superstar for a very long time. I will also tell you that Kevin Green lives down here in the Florida Panhandle. I've met him a number of times. He's a stellar human being, for the record. Terrifying, but stellar.
Did he lose the hair? I'm guessing.
I don't know. In fairness, it's been a long time since I've seen Kevin Green, but a good dude. Good dude. Anyway, here are the 4 Panthers that the NFL Network, has placed on the Carolina Panther Mount Rushmore as determined by the NFL Net. They have on it Steve Smith Sr. They have on it Luke Kuechly. They have on it Cam Newton, and they have on it Julius Peppers as the 4th Carolina Panther on their Mount Rushmore. Does anybody not belong? Is there anybody that you would like to substitute out? Great one.
Why isn't Reggie White on there?
Listen, I'm not in charge of making this one.
So I guess if great players come through, but they're not like originals, maybe they're just going with originals. And
I think that would probably be a theory.
All right. If so, I get it. I don't know of anybody else who should be on there. You got to put Kuechly on. Maybe Christian McCaffrey, but I get he plays somewhere else right now.
Yeah, and I would also argue that as good as McCaffrey has been, I think he comes off the list of Panther Mount Rushmores because even though it has only been a year, great one, I think he's a better 49er than he ever was a Panther. And that's not to say he wasn't a great Panther. He was. But San Francisco unlocked Christian McCaffrey. They kept him healthy. They kept him uninjured. Outside of the fumble last year, Christian McCaffrey looked better as a Niner than he ever, no matter how good he was as a Panther, he looked better as a Niner than he did as a Panther. So I don't think that I can put him on that list, to be honest with you.
How about Tim Biakabatuka?
Oh, what a name. I remember Biakabatuka. Here's one that some folks online were suggesting. And I find this one interesting because I don't know who I would take off. We know Steve Smith Sr.'s got to be on it, right? Like every Panther agrees Steve Smith's got to be on it, right?
If not, he'll beat you up. He knows where you are.
Yeah, correct. He's terrifying. I am going to say Steve Smith has to be on it. A lot of folks are going to argue with this. I think they're wrong. I think Cam Newton has to be on this list. I don't think you can have this list without Cam Newton. I know that a lot of people are mad about the business decision in the Super Bowl, and that is fine, but I think Cam Newton did enough to drag this franchise out of the depths that it was in post Jake Delhomme that Cam's got to be on it. I do think, honestly, Julius Peppers has to be on it. I would make the argument right now that while I do think Steve Smith Sr. is going to join him, Julius Peppers is the only. Is there another Carolina Panther you can think of that's Hall of Fame caliber, Lonzo? Because I can't. I think Julius Peppers is the only Hall of Famer for the Carolina Panthers right now.
Such a large human being, too.
He's gigantic, for sure. I think Julius Peppers. So the only guy that I think you could theoretically take off of the Mount Rushmore that this organization put together would be Luke Kuechly. I love Luke Kuechly. You love Luke Kuechly. We love Luke Kuechly. But Kuechly stepping away earlier in his career than he made, and again, for justifiable and understandable reasons.
You're not taking Kuechly off of there. You're not. By the way, apologies. Kevin Green passed away in 2020.
Yeah, that's right. I thought so when we were talking about it, but I could not remember. So is Luke Kuechly on this list because Luke Kuechly was a genuine Carolina Panther Mount Rushmore caliber player, or is Luke Kuechly on this list because he was a genuine fan favorite of the Carolina Panthers? I think I can justify putting him on there as a player, but I really think if there's a sentimental pick on this list, it's Luke Kuechly, right?
It's not sentimental. I mean, arguably on the list to me is the best out of all those guys. I mean, Kuechly was an amazing player. If he would just have learned how to not play as hard as he did, maybe he'd still be playing right now.
Yeah, but I'd also make the argument that if Luke Kuechly didn't play the way that Luke Kuechly played, he wouldn't have been Luke Kuechly, right? Like we wouldn't be having this conversation. The only reason he's there is because he played like only Luke Kuechly could. And just so we are very clear, at heart, I am a New Orleans Saints fan. And I will tell you, Luke Kuechly is on a short list of players that played for divisional rivals that I love. I did. I like Luke. I liked when he was actively playing and actively kicking my favorite team's ass repeatedly. I actively enjoyed watching Luke Kuechly play, even when he was going to destroy my Saints. Luke Kuechly is one of my favorite NFL players of all time. I think it's fair to put him on this list. I honestly, I'm going to tell you, there are some names that I think I would give honorable mention to. I think Dan Morgan gets an honorable mention, especially if he does well as the GM. I do think Jake Delhomme gets an honorable mention. I think Moose Muhammad, I think, gets honorable mention. I don't think we could come up with a better 4 on the Mount Rushmore than the NFL Net did, to be honest. The only guy I would think maybe I could replace somebody with would be Sam Mills. That's the only guy that I could think of. But I also, and this might just be, and I'll ask you if I'm blinded here, Sam Mills is a New Orleans Saint to me, not a Carolina Panther. I know he meant the world to Carolina, but I don't know if he goes on the Mount Rushmore when New Orleans could theoretically put him on theirs as well.
You'd have to take somebody else off to put him on, and you cannot take Kuechly off of there.
Here's what I'll say. If you can't take Luke Kuechly off this list, then the list is without a doubt Kuechly, Newton, Peppers, and Smith. I honestly went through and looked at all 32 of the Mount Rushmores the NFL Net released yesterday. There's a handful that I genuinely have a problem with. I think they got it wrong. I don't think that they got the Carolina Panthers wrong. I honestly think if you're going to do a Mount Rushmore of Panthers, Kuechly, Newton, Peppers, and Smith are absolutely the 4. Honorable mention to Sam Mills. Honorable mention to Jake Delhomme. Honorable mention to Muhammad. But I think Kuechly, Newton, Peppers, and Smith are the 4. If anybody would like to agree or disagree, shoot us a text on the text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN. Here's one in regard to that topic, Lonzo. Quote, if you don't try to recover a fumble in the Super Bowl, no matter who you are and no matter what team, you're not on their Mount Rushmore. I told you we were going to get one of those.
Yeah, but his hats are awesome. So, I mean, that might cancel it out, the hats.
I don't have the stones to pull off a Cam Newton hat, and I got the stones to pull off a lot. You're not wrong. Trey said, I think Greg Olsen might get into the Hall of Fame when you consider his broadcast career. T. Swizzle said, y'all sleeping on Greg Olsen. Listen, you remember that list of players I said that played for divisional opponents that I absolutely adore? Greg Olsen is on that list for the Carolina Panthers. Here's my question. If you want Greg Olsen on, who are you taking off? I'm not taking Steve Smith off. I think Julius Peppers is the only legitimate Hall of Famer wearing a Carolina Panther logo. Would you take Cam Newton off for Greg Olsen, or would you take Luke Kuechly off for Greg Olsen. I love Greg Olsen, Lonzo. I'll put him in the honorable mention column, but I can't remove Kuechly, Newton Peppers, or Smith for Greg Olsen as much as I love Greg Olsen.
I can't put Greg Olsen in there because of Jeremy Shockey.
Because of Jeremy Shockey?
Who was a better tight end to me.
I mean, and to me. He won a Super Bowl in New Orleans. Let's go. Hey, we got to run to a break. So there's my question. Question.
People hate Cam Newton. They really do. And he got
T Swizzle says
Panthers to a Super Bowl. I mean, come on, guys.
T Swizzle on the stream chat said Scam Newton had a few good years. That's it. So are we taking Cam Newton off of the Panther Mount Rushmore according to the NFL Network? Shoot us your text 71307. Start your text with fan. We'll read some more of them when we come back on the air. 1 hour left of the Rob Brown Show, and it comes after Lonzo sets the tone for that last hour with this Sports Flash.
I don't know if I can take the pressure, yo. A jury has decided that the NFL will pay $4.7 billion in damages in the NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit after deliberating for nearly 5 hours. The jury decided the NFL caused damages by airing out-of-market games on Sunday Ticket at an inflated price and restricted access by only airing on a satellite provider. Damages can be tripled under an antitrust violation, meaning the league could be responsible for just under $15 billion, though the NFL is appealing the verdict. The Atlanta Braves wasted a gem of a performance from Chris Sale with a 1-0 loss. Rob wrote that. I would never say that. To the Chicago White Sox yesterday. Sale went 7 innings, striking out 11 and giving up just 4 hits. Atlanta managed only 3 hits in the game, going 3 for 27. Atlanta falls to 44-35 and remains 8 back of Philly in the NL East.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell construction cam shows backup now. I-85 around Pelham Road, both directions. It's slow for about 2 miles. A crash southbound 29 Wade Hampton just before I-85. Southbound to 85 Spartanburg at mile marker 74. 2 semis and repair vehicles are on the right shoulder blocking the right lane. From the News Talk 98.9 WOR.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never understood all the Cam Newton hate. A lot of it is, he's acting like a kid. He's playing a kid's game. I mean, of course he acted like he had fun, and when they were losing, he was upset. Oh no. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. I'll take that under advisement.
Zoe, do the face again. I'm taking one more because the number has been up dramatically. Beautiful. Thanks.
Now that I know what you're doing it for, that helps. Rob is 1 hour away from nephew time.
Yeah, boy. Coolest dude I know.
You should buy him some more Nerf today. His dad will appreciate it.
I stopped at right off of the exit I get off on in Alabama to take the highways and byways back home. there is a gas station called the Yellowhammer gas station, and it's like a redneck Buc-ee's. And I say that with all the respect in the world as a lover of rednecks and Buc-ee's.
So that's saying that Buc-ee's is not redneck. And
Buc-ee's is not redneck. Buc-ee's is a classy establishment.
Okay.
Classy establishment.
Go ahead.
So I stopped at that place, and there were so many obnoxious toys. And I didn't get any for them because I decided that I got a little bit of time tomorrow between Bet for the Cycle and when I need to leave to go get to the show, that I'm just going to go kidnap him and take him to the store and buy him whatever the hell he wants, because that seems like more fun.
There you go. And you get to play with the stuff too.
Yep.
And see what he really likes, all that kind of
Yep.
Upstate.
An Odyssey sports station. Warning.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Did you see Mac's thing
This
on the
is the
stream?
Rob Brown Show.
Last one, Mac.
Only.
The Fan Upstate.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final hour of the Rob Brown radio program right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. Happy Friday, my dudes and my dudettes. We have set officially today, ladies and gentlemen. It is now officially official. We have set a record for the most ever viewers on a Rob Brown Show live stream. We are currently at 567 viewers that are on our live stream right now. We would love you to join the live stream as well at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. Go find it. Jump on board. We live stream every day of the week that we're working from 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. Eastern. You can hang out with us while you're waking up, while you're getting ready for work, while you're driving to work. Don't watch the stream while you're driving to work, but you get it. And then once you're at work, throw us up on the TV or on that extra computer monitor or whatever it is. Join the live stream. Come hang out with us. We have conversations that go on behind the scenes when we are at break. Sometimes they make it onto the air. Sometimes they're just funsies for me and the great one behind the scenes. Either way, join us on the live stream. Again, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. All the different ways if you would like to join on the fun and shenanigans for you to do so. Real quick, before we move on, great one. I gave you the Chiefs Mount Rushmore earlier in the show. On the Chiefs Mount Rushmore, according to the NFL Network, they have selected Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez, and Derek Thomas. Is there anybody from your team that you would take off of the NFL Net Mount Rushmore and replace them with, and who would that be?
See, this is hard to do because I'm shocked that Lynn Dawson wasn't on that list, but I can't take anybody off. I mean, Mahomes and Kelce have won 3 Super Bowls. And for a while, Tony Gonzalez was the standard as far as tight ends go.
Oh, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, I think you would be hard pressed.
Antonio Gates, Shannon Sharp, all those guys were around, and they hated Tony Gonzalez because they couldn't be better than him.
I think you would be wildly hard pressed, great one, to find a modern day pass catching tight end who would not list Tony Gonzalez as one of his influences, right? Like I think if you ask Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, any of these guys, I honestly think they would all list Tony Gonzalez as one of their influences, without a doubt at this point. The Saints, their Mount Rushmore is Drew Brees, Willie Roaf, Cameron Jordan, and Ricky Jackson. I can't argue with any of those. Cam Jordan has been a figurehead for New Orleans for a very long time, still is. Willie Roaf was the guy that made a young Rob Brown realize how fun it was to be a fan of an offensive lineman. On top of that, Willie Roaf was great one, a gigantic smart boy nerd like me.
I was going to say, and he had the nerd glasses on,
Yep.
but when he got on that bench press and you realize how big that dude really was, it's just it was like Smart Hulk.
Yeah. Yes, it was. That's a great reference. Willie Roaf was one of those cats that made me go, oh, I can love sports and be a big smart boy, a big nerd. I love it. Drew Brees, maybe the most obvious pick outside of Tom Brady of any list. And Ricky Jackson, part of that Dome Patrol. I honestly, there's some names of guys that I very much like that I would throw on there or would want to throw on there. Craig Ironhead Haywood, Deuce McAllister, Marcus Colston, all guys that I would say need to be on that list. But I don't think there's anybody. And this is, I would say this great one. With some of these teams, for me, it is more about who you would take off in order to put somebody on, right? Like, I think it's more about who you would take off. I don't know who to take off. I can't take Ricky Jackson off that list. I obviously can't take Drew Brees off that list. My question in that spot would be, I love Willie Roaf like a lot. Do you really have an offensive lineman on your list, right? Like, I think that would be the other question.
Come on, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
Bro, you know I love me an offensive lineman. I love offensive linemen because of Willie Roaf. We got a text from my boy Chris Lewis, president of the Greenville Triumph. By the way, the Triumph at home this Saturday evening, tomorrow evening, for a Jaeger Cup matchup against Lexington. Make sure you go to the website, Greenville Triumph, and get your tickets right now to tomorrow night's action at Paladin Stadium as the Triumph take on Lexington in a Jaeger Cup matchup. Currently, the Greenville Triumph, unlike the U.S. men's national team, on the top of their table in that tournament out of Group 1 with 9 points after 4 games. Let's go. He asked, who is on the Giants Mount Rushmore according to the NFL Net? And Lonzo, I got to tell you, it was hard not to laugh on the air because, and this is because it's an old team, but 2 of the players on the Giants Hall of Fame, I'm not kidding you when I tell you, are wearing leather helmets in their profile pictures. They have got on the Giants Mount Rushmore Emlyn Tunnel, Mel Hine, and then, of course, Lawrence Taylor and Michael Strahan.
Wow. Those first 2 are I don't know who they are, but
No, me either, because they both played football again in leather helmets. And while I have to pick hair out of my earlobes old, I'm not leather helmets on the football field old, at least not yet. We got asked about the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons on their list. Let me get over to their list. The Atlanta Falcons on their list, great one, have gone with, let me get that list pulled up here, Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, Deion Sanders, and Julio Jones as the 4th on the Falcons list.
That's not a bad list. It's really not. I mean,
I honestly, like, who
you taking off there? Julio?
Julio.
I mean, yeah.
Here's my thing. This is kind of the opposite. I would say Julio, but genuinely, who are you replacing Julio with? There's only one name that jumped to the front of the line for me, and that's Warrick Dunn. I think Warrick Dunn was an incredibly important Atlanta Falcon, but Julio Jones set most of the records. I think Michael Vick obviously has to be on the list. Matt Ryan has to be on the list. He took you to your only Super Bowl, even if you fell apart 28-3, lulz. He's got to be on the list. I would probably consider taking Julio Jones off for Warrick Dunn. The only one that I'm questioning, I mean, obviously, Deion Sanders, prime time, when he came there from FSU, was a massively important player. He also did something nobody else did in playing a game for both the Braves and the Falcons in the same day. Deion Sanders, wildly important, but here's my question. Is Deion Sanders better known for his time as a Falcon or as a Cowboy? I know, that question stinks, right?
Yeah, I when was he not known? I mean, that's the thing, though. It's Deion. Wherever he is, he's known.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it. Let me put it this way: if I gotta put Deion Sanders anywhere, I think I would prefer him going to Atlanta, because without Atlanta Deion, there's no Cowboys Deion. So I think it's probably fair to put him on that list. Just because we're talking about it and I was curious, I went back and I decided to look up the Cowboys Hall of Fame. And if my man Cole Bryson's out there listening right now, I'm curious as to your input. C Money. If you don't get to it here, address it on Wire to Wire later, and I'll listen to what you have to say. Here's the Cowboys, Lonzo. Bob Lilly, Emmitt Smith, Randy White, and Roger Staubach. No Troy Aikman, no Michael Irvin on the Dallas Cowboys. Is that right when you have a 1960s offensive lineman and a 1990s linebacker on the list?
Bob Lilly was the man, though. I mean, I guess you take him off, but if you do that, it's just because you're not old enough to remember him playing, probably.
I mean,
and how they come up with this list. I mean, what are the demographics of the people picking this list? There's so many things that factor in. The lists are not bad, though. They're not.
None of them are bad. I'm going to say this, and I will give them credit for this. There were none of the 32, because I looked at them all this morning. There were none of the 32 that I looked at and went, this is a bad list, like you missed. However, there were a couple of surprises, and I'm going to be real. When I looked up the Cowboys, I kind of assumed it was going to be the triplets and Roger Staubach. Like that, if you would have asked me before I looked it up, my assumption would have been Aikman Irvin Smith, and Captain America Roger Staubach as the four. Like that was this was one. There were very few teams so what I was doing, I was playing the game where I would think of a team, I would try to come up with their four and then see how many were on there, recognizing that, teams like the Giants and the Browns that date back to the 1300s, that date back to medieval days, I wasn't going to get guys from their team that played with leather helmets on like the Giants have two of. I really thought I was going to nail Dallas with the triplets plus Roger Staubach, because let's call it what it is. Dallas has always been Dallas, but Dallas didn't become that nickname that every Dallas fan swears that they are, but they're definitely not, until the triplets, until the mid-90s with the breakout of Staubach, Smith, Aikman, and Irvin.
I disagree. I mean, whether they were there as far as Super Bowls and stuff goes, Dallas was, even when I was a kid, Dallas was still that team.
I mean, fair enough. I also have to acknowledge that I wasn't around at that point, so I don't know. That's a very, and that is a valid part in building this list, is everybody is going to have some level of bias towards the guys that were greats when they were watching football, right? Like I'm going to tell you the Dolphins here in just a minute. Joey B said he's predicting for the Dolphins Marino, Zonka, Greasy, and Taylor. And I am going to tell you, Joey B got 3 out of the 4 there. Marino, Zonka, Greasy, and Jason Taylor. It is Marino, Zonka, Jason Taylor, and Larry Little. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't know who the hell Larry Little is. Maybe that's because I'm a young man playing an old man's game, but I don't know Larry Little.
Lineman hate from you. That's what it is. Lineman hate.
It's not lineman hate. I love a lineman. Willie Roaf is on my list for me, for sure. I just don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. So he's close. He missed on Greasy in favor of Larry Eagle. Noted, speaking of Eagles, James, the Eagles fan, asked about Philly's list. And since we're just playing the game and I am, I said earlier in the show, I'm going full rock DJ. I kind of am, Lonzo, because now I'm freaking taking requests here on the show. Good enough for me. Philadelphia Eagles include Chuck Bednarik, Steve Van Buren, Reggie White, and ball hawking Brian Dawkins. Reggie White's a no-brainer.
Old people on the list. That's some, yeah.
Reggie White's a no-brainer. To me, Brian Dawkins is a no-brainer. Steve Van Buren, who I believe was president at some point, if I recall correctly, and Chuck Bednarik, who has one of the most illustrious college football awards named after him. A couple of old guys on the list that I can't really speak to their greatness because my parents weren't alive when they were playing football, so I can't address it, but that's the Eagles list, James.
Where's Randall Cunningham?
Ain't no Randall Cunningham on the list. That's an interesting one. You know what? Just because
Chris, why am I forgetting his name? Receiver from Ohio State.
Olave. Yes, he should be on that list. I agree.
No. It's one of the, oh man. Used to be on ESPN.
I am blanking. Carter?
Yes.
Oh, because if anything, he's a Viking.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Let's go just because I'm curious now, because lulz. Now I gotta go find the Jags now. Is Trevor on the Jags list yet? I mean, they're not that old, right? They are going, oh, you know what? Here's a lineman, Lonzo, that absolutely deserves to be on the list. Tony freaking Baselli. Yeah. Tony Baselli absolutely is on this list.
I don't know. The NFL linemen bother me because, like Baselli, he leaves and then now he can walk in the room and you are a lineman, sure. I mean, they lose so much weight. They look like totally different people. It's weird.
Tony Baselli absolutely on the list, without a doubt. I am going to go with, I'm not going with the NFL Network is going with Tony Baselli, Jimmy Smith, Mark Brunell, and Fast Fabulous Freddie Taylor. I don't have an issue with the Jags list. I think the Jags list is about as good as you can make it. All right. Any other teams you guys want to hear there, Mount Rushmore? Let me know. It's Friday. I don't care. Oh, you know what? You know which one we have to do? I think we have to look at the 49ers list, don't we? I think we got to look at the 49ers list.
Much like Dallas, 49ers is going to be hard because there have been so many stars go through there.
You ain't wrong. The 49ers list, great one. Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, and Steve Young. Both the boys.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, honestly, I would have. That's a four I would have put together. That's a four I could have come up with off the top of my head. Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Steve Young. All right, so there you have it. There's your Mount Rushmore for some of the teams that you guys requested. If you are curious as to some of the rest of them, let me know. The Steelers, by the way, Lambert, Bradshaw, Green, and Roethlisberger. I think that's a pretty obvious 4-2, isn't it? That one seems like it was easy enough to do as well. And now I'm just checking to see if Chris Carter is on the yes, Chris Carter is on the Vikings Mount Rushmore. So along with Fran Tarkington, Alan Page, and Adrian Peterson, probably another team that I could have come up with the original four for sure. Chris Carter, Tarkington, and Peterson would have been no-brainer layups for me if we were building these ourselves. All right. So there are some of them. If you'd like to know more, hit me up. 71307 is the text line. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Texter wants to know about the Bears. Another texter wants to know about the Rams. I will address, and another one about the Chargers. So I will take a look at those coming up in the next segment. Do have a lot more actual sports topics, including the Bravos' absolute collapse against the White Sox yesterday, a little more NBA draft talk, and more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Real, unfiltered sports.
Mojo Drew would have been a good pick. Mojo Drew is a good pick for the Jags. I loved Mojo. All right, guys, stepping away for 1 minute. We will be right back. Y'all stay right there for me. We back.
My head hurts. I quit. You're on your own for the next 49 minutes.
Fair enough.
Can run it remotely, right?
Yep, I got it. I'm just that damn good.
We talked about weather. We got stuff rolling in, it looks like.
Bummer.
It's all right. We need rain.
High Law, Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady, and John Hanna.
John Hanna?
John Hanna, offensive lineman.
I was going to say, I thought I knew the name, and I figured it was a lineman.
Who's on the Buccaneers? Take a shot. Would you put Brady on? No, I can't put Brady on the Buccaneers, right?
Oh, you can't.
I'm going Sapp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Brooks. I'm going John Lynch.
So you're going all defense.
Do what?
You're going all defense.
Yeah, but when they were in their dominant phase, they were the best defense I've ever seen.
I'm going John Gruden. John Gruden's your fourth. Maybe not.
I want to pick an offensive player. Who would I pick? I do wonder if there are any still active players on any of these lists. I can't think there is.
Well, yeah, I mean Mahomes and
oh, that's right, Mahomes and Kelsey, literally.
Yeah,
forgot about the first one we said.
Don't you do that to me? Mike Evans. That's a possibility.
Yeah, still active though. Mike Evans is a good one.
Only on the Fan.
All right, I'm looking. I'm cheating. It is John Lynch, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and Leroy Selman. Oh, did not. Wow. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Alonso and you wrapping up today's show. Got about 37 minutes left in the broadcast. If you want to jump in, now's your opportunity. We got the text line open for you today. 71307. Start your text with FAN, 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 FAN. and we'll read them on the air, or join the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. 580 viewers with us on the live stream right now. So good morning to all 580 of you. Spectacular to have you along for the ride. Got some text to continue with this NFL Mount Rushmore, as the NFL Net put out a list of their Mount Rushmore of every NFL team. Texter said, how about the Bears? How about the Chicago Bears? Somebody made the joke, and I'm glad you beat me to it, that the Bears might not have anybody on this list after the 85 Bears. And hilariously, Lonzo, that is correct. There is not a Bear. There is Walter Payton, Mike Singletary, Dick Butkus, and Sid Luckman. Remember the joke earlier about players who wore leather helmets? Sid Luckman didn't wear a helmet at all when he played for the Chicago Bears. Sid Luckman, Walter Payton, Mike Singletary, and Dick Butkus for the Chicago Bears. Texter also added that I throw in an immediate bleep the Packers at the end of that text message. So there you go, Texter. You got it on the radio. Congratulations.
I thought the Packers owned Chicago, or was that just a certain quarterback that's not there anymore? You know?
Marcus said no Brian Urlacher. Oh, Urlacher's. Oh, who do you take off the list, man? Like, I don't know. I would take Sid Luckman off the list because I'm sorry, I don't care about your Chicago Bears from the 1920s. So I'm taking that off the list and putting Urlacher on. Urlacher absolutely deserves a spot on this roster. Absolutely deserves it. Let's see here. Texter asked about the LA Rams, formerly St. Louis. The LA Rams is Lonzo, Merlin Olsen, Jack Youngblood, Aaron Donald, and Deacon Night Train Jones.
So only one guy from the modern era on that.
Yeah, Aaron Donald on the list. Yeah, and that's interesting because does anybody from the Marshall Faulk? Are you taking Merlin Olsen off? That's an offensive lineman. Are we removing Merlin Olsen to put Marshall Faulk? Isaac Bruce, Terry Holt? Like, I am good with any of the greatest show on turf being listed in this group. But here's the thing. Deacon Night Train Jones can't come off this list. That guy was one of the most terrifying defensive players of all time. Jack Youngblood is one of the guys that I think is a standard for his position. And Aaron Donald is one of the best defensive linemen to ever play the game of football. You got a lot of defense and one offensive lineman here for a team that had a baby dynasty when they had the greatest show on turf. I want Marshall Faulk on this list, Lonzo. Who do you take off to put him there? Youngblood, Donald Olsen, or Deacon Jones? I can't decide.
Yeah, I'm curious if some things that happen off the field will affect some people on this list.
That's fair. Texter says Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner. Like, here's the thing. I like Kurt Warner a lot, both as a bro and as a player. But Kurt Warner is one of those guys, to me, and this is not, I mean, it is a hit. I was going to say it's not a hit, but it kind of is a hit. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks you could have plugged into an offense with Faulk, Bruce, and Holt and would have had similar numbers to Kurt Warner. Like, I think Kurt Warner was a good quarterback. I don't think Kurt Warner was a great quarterback. I think Kurt Warner was an above average quarterback who got paired up and combined with one of the most incredible sets of skill position receivers of all time. By the way, Ricky Prohl was on that team too, a guy who never gets the credit that he should for what he was.
Joe,
is that too harsh on Kurt Warner?
Yeah, it was, but that's fine. He was better than Eli Manning.
That's not unfair. That's not unfair. Eli Manning did not make the Giants Mount Rushmore, by the way.
Yeah, with 2 Super Bowls, surprising. Joe wants to know about Arizona, and that's one of the first ones I thought of is how bad that would be, but it's probably not as bad as you think.
Probably not, honestly. The Packers, we had a texter ask about the Packers. The Packers is Bart Starr, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, and Don Hudson is the fourth on this. Don Hudson, I don't even know who the hell Don Hudson is. That's really bad. I should.
I know the name. I'm trying to remember what position.
Don Hudson played
also.
Let me put it this way. Don Hudson played when the position he played was just labeled end. I'm going to assume defensive, though maybe defensive and tight. I don't know, but they have him listed as end. Don Hudson on the list from the leather helmet era, and then three quarterbacks, Favre, Rodgers, and Starr. And I'm going to say, great one, this list is, I don't know about Don Hudson. Some old school Packer fans may know better about this than I do. But having three quarterbacks on the list for the Packers is absolutely appropriate.
Yeah, for sure. T Swizzle says no AJ Hawk. I'd put AJ Hawk on there before Don Hudson.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that a lot of these legacy teams, these teams that have been around since like the 1900s, right? And when I say 1900s, I'm not talking 1990s. I'm talking like 1905. A lot of these teams that have a history that dates back 150 years are going to have one guy that was there during the establishment period of American football, like when American football was really becoming the sport. These guys were the reason that we still have football in the iteration that we have it as today. So that's why a lot of these teams, I think, are going to have those types of guys on them. All right, so there you go. There's a couple more of the list. Texter says Reggie White, ? Reggie White, I believe not. Excuse me, I don't believe. We just read it. Reggie White not on the Packers list. Reggie White. Didn't we say Reggie White was on? Where did we say Reggie White was a few minutes ago?
Philly, I thought.
Where?
Philly, I thought.
Oh, yeah. Reggie White goes on. Let me pull it up and make sure. Yeah, Reggie White is listed as a member of the Eagles Mount Rushmore, not the Packers Mount Rushmore. Texter Tron asked, what about the Falcons? We did the Falcons earlier, Tron, but I'll do it again just since you're asking, and I'm a super nice guy like that. The Falcons included Michael Vick. The Falcons included Matt Ryan, not Ryan. The Falcons included Deion Primetime Sanders, and wide receiver Julio Jones was the Falcons list. So let's see. There it is. I wondered if we were going to get one because I know the fan base has ebbed and flowed, but a texter asked for the Jets. The Jets Mount Rushmore. For those of you that are just catching up with the show, the NFL Network has put out a list of the Mount Rushmore of every NFL franchise. The Jets is made up of Lonzo, Don Maynard, Joe Namath, Curtis Martin, and Darrell Revis. Revis Island making the Jets Final Four.
It's Don Maynard. You said Maynard.
Whatever it is.
Okay,
Again.
I just said, yeah.
Either way, Revis. I'm going to tell you this.
Revis Island was the thing. It really was.
Revis Island for a few years was the scariest place in football, for sure. Like, let me put it this way. Of every great cornerback that's ever come through the league, none of the other ones were ever known as having an island, right? None of the other ones were ever known as being a guy you just don't throw to. Wherever Revis was lined up, Revis Island was the last place many a wide receiver went before they just passed off into history. Of all the great cornerbacks to ever play NFL football, Revis is the only one that I am aware of that had an island. That like announcers actively said, so-and-so's out there on Revis Island, so he's gone from this game because Darrell Revis was that damn good. I really don't have a problem with Darrell Revis being on this list because of the fact that he had Revis Island, man. I don't have a problem with him being on this list. All right, let's take our final break of the radio program. We'll put the NFL Mount Rushmores to bed. Fun little conversation. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Got the teams you wanted to hear about. When we come back here in just a minute, let's run through a couple of stories we have not had time or just actively ignored today, like I have been ignoring the Atlanta Braves this entire show. I got to get it off my chest. It's Friday. I would like to carry that positive momentum into the weekend, so I'm just gonna get it out, gonna vent, gonna just release the anger out into the universe so that we can all go enjoy our weekend. We'll talk some Braves when we come back. A few other sports stories to run through. It's all coming up after this break on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you, no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, and Spartanburg. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the Fan Upstate a favorite.
I'm Tony Desuri with your sports update on the Fan Upstate. The NBA Draft held their second.
My computer's going to shake for a second, guys. Sorry, I got to type a thing. I'm going to tell you right now, James, WWE, WWF, WCW, Mount Rushmore, Wrestling Mount Rushmore is one of those things that feels like it should be easy to do. It is impossible to do, largely because it, maybe even more than football, is so largely determined on what era of wrestling you were the biggest fan of, right? Like my dad's for, because he was watching in the territorial days, my dad's for is going to be more dramatically different than my Mount Rushmore for, which would be much different than somebody who came up after the Attitude Era's top four, which would be dramatically different from somebody who included them all. That being said, if there was a universal Mount Rushmore, do we agree that Ric Flair has to be on it?
I think we agree that there would be only one person on that Mount Rushmore, and it would be Joe Hendry, because I believe in Joe Hendry.
We all believe in Joe Hendry. I would say Nature Boy's on it.
Steven, Sting is the GOAT. If you're going to do that so far, but people could say that about Cena. People could say there's just so many. There really is.
I love Sting. Sting's not going on the Mount Rushmore. Love him. I do. Not going on the Mount Rushmore. I think Flair's got to be on it. I think Hogan has to be on it. Y'all know how I feel about Hulk Hogan. Cannot stand the guy, but I think Hogan has to be on it. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin's got to be on it. That dude became a household name. I think Austin's got to be on it. And I'll tell you, I don't know if I'm going to put Cena on it, because Cena was what Hogan was, but the reason I love Cena is not because of his wrestling. It's because of him away from his wrestling. So I don't know if Cena goes on it for me. I don't know if Rock goes on it.
Is the award-winning
We could do a whole pod about this, to be honest.
Fan Upstate.
Earlier in the show, I went off on a rant about Greg Berhalter. If you missed it, please feel free to go on the Odyssey app, AUDACY, and rewind it back to the end of the second hour of the show, because Greg Berhalter stinks at his job, and I had many words to say about it. So to continue the theme of I have a problem with coaches who have a roster full of talent and do not a good gosh darn thing with it, Brian Snit. Let's have a chat, shall we, Snit? I know you're listening right now, my guy. up there in the ATL, up there in the dirty. I know you're listening right now, Snid, and I'm glad that you do. I'm glad to have you as a part of the Armada, and I'm glad to have you as a part of the Armada right now so that we can have this little chat. I'm going to need you to do anything. I need you to do anything. Just do something. As I told Ryan, Nick, and Trista last night when I was on BetMGM tonight, if you told me that Brian Snicker had a mild case of narcolepsy, I'd believe you. Because it's like every time the Braves are out there, and yes, they still have the occasional pop-off game where they look like the 2023 Atlanta Braves. They still have the pop-off game where they put plus a dozen hits on the board. They did it to the Yankees the other night. Y'all, they went to the Bronx and took 2 out of the 3 against the team that, at the time, was leading the best division in baseball, the team that, at the time, had the best record in baseball, although the Yankees are absolutely bleeping the bed right now. I'm not worried about it. We'll circle back around to that on another date because they're going to be fine. The Braves had a little mini 3-run hot streak going there for a minute. That included taking 2 out of the 3 away from New York on the road. And then they went to St. Louis. Now, let's put it in context. You always got to put it in context. The Redbirds are a team that I wrote off preseason. I said it's the same old St. Louis team. That's a team that has talent, but a team that never does anything with it. That's a team that is going to be just a bit over 500 all season long. And maybe, emphasis on maybe the Redbirds will grab the second, maybe the third wild card spot in the National League. Maybe they'll slide in, but they're a bounced in the first round kind of team, right? Well, the Redbirds are playing good baseball right now. St. Louis is on a bit of a mini heater right now, and I think it's important it's pointed out. However, that wouldn't bother me, except for you went up there, you dropped 2 out of the 3, and it wasn't because of the pitching necessarily. The Schwellenberger game was not ideal, but it wasn't a terrible set of pitching. It just couldn't hit the ball. Again, welcome to the 2024 Atlanta Braves offense. And then, in fact, I set up a promo for the show yesterday. I said, hey, you dropped a couple to the Redbirds. That's a playoff team, not a great playoff team, certainly a wild card team, but it's a good little team, man. It's a respectable little team, man. Let's give some credit to that team. Dropping 2 out of the 3 isn't the worst thing in the world. What would be the worst thing in the world is if you drop 2 out of the 3 and then you went to Chicago, not the south side where the Cubbies play. No, the north side where the White Sox play, because the White Sox are, and I can say this with some level of confidence, dreadful this year. The Red Sox are 22 wins deep right now. To put that into perspective, the Rockies have won 27. The Miami Marlins have won 29. The Oakland Athletics have won 29. The Angels, sans Mike Trout, have won 34. The White Sox have won 22 games. So this was a wonderful opportunity for the Atlanta Braves. Wonderful. Let's go to Chicago. Let's get the sweep. Let's go. And if I told you pre-first pitch yesterday that you were going to send Chris Sale, who, by the way, has been everything Atlanta wanted him to be when he showed up. He's been very good. That Chris Sale was going to go to the bump for you, and he was going to K11. If I told you that Chris Sale was going to go to the bump and over a 7-inning outing was going to give up 4 total hits and 1 earned run while K-ing 11 batters, I would have said they win this game. The Braves got to win this game, right? Chris Sale just gave you a all-star, a Cy Young caliber performance. 7 innings, 11 Ks, 1 earned run, and it came off of a home run from Luis Robert Jr., the only player the White Sox have on the field right now. The best player that they have on the field right now. A player that, fingers crossed, should be the Braves' number 1 trade deadline acquisition target. This is the guy I want Atlanta going after. Go get Luis Robert, bring him down, let Orlando Arcia sit down until he figures it out, because Orlando Arcia is embarrassing himself on the diamond right now. He just is. I love Orlando. There's no other way to put it. He is embarrassing himself with the way he's playing baseball. So go get Luis Robert. Put that to the side for a minute. Only player are him and I guess Tommy Pham. I guess. Here's the thing. The Braves allowed 4 hits, 11 Ks, and 1 earned run yesterday, and they lost the game. 1-0 to Chicago. Yes, appreciate you, Trey. I got my directions backed up. The Cubs are the North Siders. Chicago's White Sox, the South Siders. They went to the south side of Chicago, down there where Leroy Brown lives. They went to the south side of Chicago looking for a fight and had none in them at all. It was embarrassing. It was the first time that if I was there in the studio, what I would do is I would set all of this up as if I was going to hit the alarm button, but I would not hit the alarm button. Instead, I would hit every Charles Barkley sounder that I have where he calls people losers and jackasses and says I'll slap him in the face, because that's the level of rage I got built up about a team that's 9 games over 500 right now. This team has no dog in it right now. Now, we know that they can, because last year they had one of the greatest offenses in the history of Major League Baseball. And just so we keep it a buck, I do like to point out that overall, the team is back. And I think there are 2 factors that need to be considered. Number 1, and I said this on national radio last night. I made a joke about this team losing its heart and soul when Ron Washington left to go become the manager of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I don't think it's a joke anymore. See, because last year, whenever things like this happened and guys were going out there like Albies, 1 for 4, Ozuna, 0 for 2, Olsen, 0 for 4, Riley, 0 for 3, Murphy, 0 for 3, Wall, 0 for 3, Darno, 0 for 1, Duvall, 0 for 3, Arcia, 0 for 3. When a lineup is that bad against what was effectively a bullpen game for the White Sox, they went with Cool, Anderson, Schuster, Braby, and Kopech. That's a bullpen game for Chicago. When Chris Sale gives you an 11 strikeout, 4 hit, 7 inning performance, and you as a team go 3 for 29, that ordinarily is the spot last year that you would have seen Ron Washington start grabbing guys by the collar and getting them out of the funk and talking them down off the ledge and whatever else that he needed to do to fix this. Instead, what do we have? The camera turns around, it looks over at the bench, and there's Brian Snitker, that if you dropped a newspaper in front of his face, it looks like it would suit him just fine. It looked like if I would have put a pillow behind his head, he'd have just fallen asleep. This team's got no dog. This team's got no fight. And most importantly, they don't have a manager that's willing to do anything about it. I know Brian Snicker won this team a World Series. I will, and this is true, be forever grateful for that fact. But the fact that here we are a couple of years later, here we are with an identically talented baseball team. Here we are with a team full of former and returning all-stars. Here we are with a team that's getting dramatically better pitching than they deserve out of Max Fried, who's been moved up to number 1, out of Reynaldo Lopez, who, if we're being honest, has replaced Spencer Strider. What are the Braves going to do without Spencer Strider? They're going to send Reynaldo Lopez ass out to the bumps. What they going to do? Because my man cooks right now. He's got an ERA of 1.7. The dude is damn good. And yet, this team's got no fight. This team's got no dog. And I got a manager that's asleep at the wheel doing nothing. I appreciate you winning us the World Series. I really do. I'll never forget that night. I drank a lot of bourbon when the Braves got one back because I didn't think I'd ever see him get close again. But as I've said with Diana Taurasi being named to the Olympic team, as I've said with Alex Morgan being left off the Olympic team, I'm not here for warm, fuzzy feelings and thanks for the memories. I'm here to win baseball games, to win World Series. And if Stitt's going to let the boys sit on the bench and revel in their misery and do nothing to fix it, then why am I going to keep watching these baseball games? You're giving me no reason to. You lost a 1-0 game to the worst team in baseball on a night that your pitcher gave you 7 with 4 hits and 11 Ks. It's unbleeping acceptable, Atlanta.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to ask Rob Brown what is Xing, and he will let us know. Only a couple. That way he can have time to plug what he's doing, like opening for Jefferson Starship. The first thing that's Xing is Dijak.
So Dijak is trending because yesterday on his social media, Dijak put up a, I believe, Instagram post that said that WWE had declined not only to extend his contract with the company, but that they declined to even negotiate with him to extend his contract with the company, despite what I think, Lonzo, was a really good run through the end of NXT and a promotion to the main roster of Monday Night Raw. I thought this new Dijak had a ton of potential to kind of be that like secondary final boss battle character, but Dijak put up on Twitter that WWE is releasing him, and within minutes, he had a bunch of local indie companies going, hey, we got room for you. Come on down. I'm going to tell you right now, he's one of those cats I'd be interested to see if he wrestles with a vendetta, with a grudge, we'll probably see Dijak again sooner rather than later.
Well, also Xing with him is Keith Lee, because people are recalling the matches that he and Keith Lee put on early on in their careers, and they were amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, they were. And I think Keith Lee is going to go down as one of the tragic stories in wrestling, to be honest with you, because Keith Lee, for a while there, when he was healthy and in good shape, Keith Lee was truly one of the most incredible and electric athletes we've ever seen in a ring, and his body just gave out, and he can't do Keith Lee things anymore, which kind of takes away from the Keith Lee-iness of him. That's a tragic story. I do think we'll see Dijak back at some point.
All right, one more real quick. The Undertaker is Xing.
I did see The Undertaker was Xing earlier. I'm going to keep it a buck. I do not know why, though. I am going to say I shan't be shocked if it turns out that it was in some way related to last night's presidential debate, ?
I don't believe so. I think if you watched any of his podcast, I mean, it kills all the persona things that you probably had growing up, but you learn so many things. And he's, look at that. We're up over 600. He is, he's recounting where he came up with the rising up thing from when he's almost dead, that he studied a bunch of Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger, and that's where that came from. Always suspected that anyway, but that's what he said. He studied those meticulously and tried to use those three combined, their mannerisms and how they did things, to be a true monster.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talked about our off the air on the stream, our Mount Rushmore of wrestling earlier. gonna be real hard pressed not to put the Undertaker on there. The Undertaker was so good at his job that once the social media world became a thing and kayfabe, I'm not going to say kayfabe died, but like it became a new version of kayfabe. Undertaker was probably one of the few guys that could have gotten, I'm actually a dead person who controls lightning over. He was the reason, well, him and a couple others, the reason that during the pandemic, the theatrical wrestling worked. That Boneyard match with AJ Styles is honestly, Lonzo, one of my favorite things that's ever happened in wrestling. I loved it so much.
It was really good. It was.
That's going to be it. Hey, if you are down here in the Florida Panhandle, the Boys of Shenanigans, that's my band playing tonight at the Destin Whiskey Festival. Come by and see us. If you can't make it tonight, we'll be playing Saturday, that's tomorrow, over at Juana's Pagoda in Navarre, and then again Sunday afternoon at Juana's. For those of you in South Carolina, screw it. It's Friday. Jump in the car. Go on a road trip. Come down to the beach. Come hang out with me. Everybody else, remember, off on Monday, no show. We will return on Tuesday and Wednesday, off on Thursday for the 4th, back on Friday. Hope you guys have a spectacular weekend. Thanks for being here. Do not drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you for listening. You guys are incredible. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later. Yeah.
Hey, Alexa, Google, or Siri, play 97 The Fan Upstate.
Have you lost weight in the past but gained it all back and more?
Good job. Good effort, everybody. Good work today. We did it.
Yay, us. We did it. Woo.
Hey, 608 on the stream. You got to love that.
Not bad.
No, I'll take it. All right, boys and girls, I am going to go have breakfast with the nephew. Again, I'm not going to go live tonight, but I will tomorrow. If you want, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Rob Brown Show. I will try my best to go live for half an hour, 45 minutes from our Saturday evening show. And once I kind of get the schedule figured out, I will let you guys know around what time to expect that. So if you want to see what the band looks like, you're welcome to. It'll be a good time. Yeah. Alonzo, you got anything else?
Upstate Pulse tomorrow, 7 to 9 p.m., 98.9 WRD, and also on all streaming platforms, or just about all of them.
Yes, make sure you check it out. It is the greatest nerd pop culture show in the history of nerd pop culture shows. I can attest. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. You guys are spectacular. Goodbye.